Happy Fantasy Friday. It's time for book club. We are Lindsay,
Kelly,
and Catherine, and this is the Banner and Bookmarks podcast. We are three book besties diving into romantasy with unhinged theories and a bit of spice.
Today we are talking about The Foxglove King by Hannah Whitten. So heads up, this podcast contains spoilers since we're going to talk about the entire book today. So if you haven't read the book, we'll give you a spoiler-free introduction and review at the beginning and then warn you once we switch over into the spoiler zone.
So pour yourself a drink, come escape reality with us, and let's talk about books.
All right, this episode is episode 3 in our 3-episode series where we're talking about 3 books that are written by authors that we actually get to meet at Romantasy BookCon in October, hosted by Fabled Fantasy Events.
So exciting.
I am so excited.
I know.
Literally next month. I can't believe it. Well, actually, it's this month by the time this episode comes out. So later this month. Cannot wait.
That's like we just time traveled.
We did.
Are we going back to the future?
We're going back to the future.
Sorry, guys.
Today we're discussing The Foxglove King by Hannah Whitten, which is book 1 of 3 in the Nightshade Crown series. I do want to mention that none of us have read the other 2 books yet, so everything that we share is going to be spoilers only for book 1 and all conjecture-based for reading the rest of the series because we have not started it yet. So we are going to explore it fresh with you all. But we all plan on continuing the series and reading the rest, so excited to tell you what we think about it as we go. All right, Lindsay, can you start us off with a little teaser summary of the book?
When Laura was 13, she escaped a cult in the catacombs beneath the city of Delaire. In the 10 years since, she's lived by one rule: don't let them find you. Easier said than done when her death magic ties her to the city. Mortem, the magic born from death, is a high-priced and illicit commodity in Delaire, and Laura's job running poisons keeps her in food, shelter, and relative security. But when a run goes wrong and Laura's power is revealed, she's taken by the Presca Moor, a group of warrior monks sanctioned to use Mortem, working for the Sainted King. Laura fully expects a pyre, but King August has a different plan. Entire villages on the outskirts of the country have been dying overnight, seemingly at random. Laura can either use her magic to find out what's happening and who in the king's court is responsible, or die. Laura is thrust into the Sainted King's glittering court, where no one can be believed and even fewer can be trusted. Guarded by Gabriel, a duke-turned-monk, and continually running up against Bastian, August's ne'er-do-well heir, Laura tangles in politics, religion, and forbidden romance as she attempts to navigate a debauched and opulent society. But the life she left behind in the catacombs is catching up with her, and even as Laura makes her way through the sainted court above, they may be drawing closer than she thinks.
All right. I'm curious to hear what everybody rated this book. For me, this book was a solid 4 bookmark book. I think it was very interesting. I really liked the magic. I was very interested with the juxtaposition of like church versus royalty and how much they kind of like fought for power. And I really liked the main character. She was very sarcastic, especially in the audiobook. So I liked it. I think it was a really cool plot. Excited to see where it goes. And I think it's solid 4 stars for me. Lindsay, what about you?
Yeah, same for me. Solid 4. It's funny, I was at like a maybe 3.75-ish kind of thing. And then I started working on this outline and it actually bumped the rating up for me because I had to sit down and like parse through all of the detail and all of the world building and just that foundation of information. And anybody who's listened to the podcast knows that I absolutely love that stuff. And so after working on the outline, it actually bumped it up to a solid 4. So I was like a 3.8 leaning to a 4, and now it's a 4. Absolutely.
I love that. I love that. Kath, what about you?
So I was the exact same as Lindsay. I was like just under the cusp of 4. But then I went over to Lindsay's house and I said, Lindsay, I just finished the book and I literally have 30 minutes of rambling memos about this book.
It was unhinged. Straight up. She called me and was like, "Are you home? I need you to listen to my rambling voice memos." And that's what we did.
She did. We sat there
And
for
so
30
we did.
minutes as she listened to 5 different memos I had on
Voice memos?
voice memos.
I love this.
My favorite thing is at the end of every single one, she would record herself saying, "Okay, I'm going to go to a new one now." And then she would start over another one and it'd be like 5 or 6 minutes. She's like,
on.
"Okay, I'm going to go to a new one."
And then I love that you were texting me, Catherine, like, "Kelly, you need to finish this book because I need you to listen to these videos." Yes. Okay, I need you to listen to these audio. And in my head, I was like, I'm not going to tell her. I want to listen to her, but things I want to talk to her in person.
They're crazy, but they're good.
That one did.
Yeah, they're crazy. They're crazy, but they're good.
After doing all of that, I was like, wow, I actually do have a lot to say about this book. And what was interesting to me is that I did not connect to any of the 3 main characters. I think Bastian is my favorite, Lore, too much of a martyr, and Gabe. We'll talk about Gabe later.
Gabe.
But I wasn't connecting to the characters, but what I found I was connecting the most with was the world building and the plot and this desire to see what happens next and all of these theories about, those 3 together.
Those 3.
Save it.
All of it. And so I was like, hey, this is actually a 4. I have too much to say for it not to be a 4.
Yeah, that's fair.
But isn't that what we all kind of love about the book community in general? And the reason at the end of the day we have a podcast to talk about books is because the best thing in the entire world is talking about books with your friends and with other people and like the community that it brings. So there's even things like even after reading the book, I annotated it as I read, I outlined it. But even after talking to Catherine the other day, she pointed out a couple of things to me that I'm like, oh, wait, I didn't even put that together. And we do that on the podcast all the time with each other. And it's just so great. It's so much fun. Like that's literally the reason why I love books so much is because our conversations can change how you feel about it, or not necessarily how you feel about it. Like, I don't think you would talk someone into liking or not liking a book, but it can just kind of like magnify
bump it up
those thoughts or bump it up. And so I don't know, I think that's just so cool.
Yeah, or bump it down if you were reading something and you're like, wait a minute, oh, that's what that was all connected to. Oh, I don't like that as much. Like easily could happen both ways, but I love for us usually it bumps us up. Yeah,
it bumps up. Yeah,
we're like, oh my god, what? But I also think before we get into the spoiler zone, I think one thing I want to say is for the 3 of us, I think we have gotten very good at knowing what we like. And so I have not picked up a book in a very long time, or many books in a very long time, that I didn't really enjoy, like a 3-star or above. And for us, 3-star is on the positive. We really liked it. We'll tell people to read it, right? Like, because we know what we like. So I'm not shocked that we're reading so many books that are 3.5, 4, and 5-star, because we're almost 40. We know what kind of books we like. We've been reading for a long time.
Stop it.
We talk about our age all the time.
No, but you told me
I didn't say 50.
When the other book series is finished, you got to stop making me see my.
I mean, listen,
like fine wine, and we know what we like. Fine wine.
I moisturize, okay?
Right? We're aging very great, and
I use my retinol.
There you go.
I work
we know
out.
what we like, so that's why it's fun, because we can go in already knowing like, yeah, I'm going to like this. Or there are books I pick up that I'm like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to love this, but I'm going to give it a try anyway. Yeah. Because I know myself.
We've had conversations too. I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast, but amongst the 3 of us, that we all felt like the biggest pressure about starting this podcast is choosing what to read. And because there's so many books all the time. Just before we started recording, I was telling the girls, I was like, I have read 68 books this year. And I look at,
and
I'm
it is
like,
September right now as of this recording.
And I'm like, how is it possible that my TBR has not shrunk in the slightest? Because there's so much content out there and there's so many amazing books to read all the time. And especially when we first started, I think we all really felt the pressure of we have to keep up with what's popular. We have to read everything. And I got to a point where I was reading things so quickly and digesting things so quickly that I wasn't really necessarily enjoying them. And
Right.
I think I'm past that point with the podcast. I think I don't feel like I need to prove myself and
Yeah.
read everything and be on top of things. I think it's okay to say, oh, I haven't read that yet. Or I don't know, that just doesn't really seem like it's for
Right.
me. I don't think I'm
Right.
going to pick that one up. And that's okay. But at first I didn't, that was
Yeah.
hard.
It
you
is
know?
hard. I agree.
It
But
is.
to your point, I'm kind of beyond that. And so I feel like I'm only picking things that I know I'm going to enjoy. And so my reading experience has grown immensely because of
Yes.
that.
Yeah, for sure. For
Although
sure.
I would say with the 3 books that we picked for this series, I mean, it was still a guess for all of us that we
Yeah.
would enjoy them, but we did such fantastic
Yeah.
picks. We all ended up really engaging
Yeah.
with all of these
Well,
books and loving
I
them.
had read
4 stars.
other things by Hannah Whitten and other things by L.J. Andrews. I had not read anything else by Kaylee Smith.
Yep.
So, I mean, like you said, that's a good guess. These 2 authors, like we kind of had an introduction to already, but I also completely trust Fabled Fantasy and
Yeah.
their recommendations for authors. I can't wait for
Yeah.
con, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm
And
so excited.
they told us on our podcast with them about Broken Souls and Bones, because I think when we
They did.
recorded,
We were talking
it
about-
had
we were talking
just
about
come
Viking.
out. Yeah,
Mhm.
and they were like, "Oh,
I
you should
asked
read
them
L.J.
for
Andrews'
a
new book."
Viking recommendation, and that's what they
Mhm.
gave me.
And so we listened. We were like, "All right, let's do it." And
Yeah.
surprise,
Sold.
they were right.
Okay,
Sold.
sorry we got off topic, everyone. That
Nah, I'm
was
we
not
haven't
sorry.
even
All
started
right.
the book.
not
All right.
sorry.
Let's get into the spoiler zone. So we're now going to enter the Foxglove King spoiler zone. If you have not finished the book, say bye-bye. Come back when you're done, because we'd love to chat through this with you. Also, want to point out, we know that this book has French-inspired names. Most of them are relatively easy for us to say. However, the king's name in the audiobook is
Augustus Gloop.
Auguste.
Augustus, please.
Augustus Gloop.
I ain't saying Auguste every time, okay? So his name is August, King August, like the month. They're
That
probably gonna say
sounded
it a little bit
so New York of you too.
King
when you said-
August.
So New York.
King August.
like the month, all right? So we know we're going to try our best, except for I am not going to try with Auguste, because I
We're
sound
not
like
doing it.
I just feel like
am
I'm
dumb.
going to butcher them and I don't want to
Auguste.
disrespect them in that
No,
way.
no.
So
We're going to try. We don't want to do it accidentally. We're going to use our boring American, New York,
But
Georgia accents. but-
August is sticking.
But August is sticking.
Now I want to.
Now you're going to call him Auguste?
I'm going to
No,
call
because
him.
you're gonna laugh. Because you're gonna
Auguste
laugh
is
and
good.
giggle every time you say it.
Yep.
And he's
Yep.
not a funny character, so
No,
No, he's actually a bit of an asshole.
he's not a gloop.
an understatement of the century.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, let's do it.
Well, I want to start out
Let's
because
do it.
this is, you guys know, one of my favorite topics is religions
I
in
knew
fantasy.
you were going to love this. Yeah.
So
Crack those
crack
knuckles.
the knuckles. I wish I could get some good cracks in the mic, but I don't
Get your
have
husband
any.
in here. He'll like.
to
I
get
know.
them crack your toes.
Crack, yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the world building and religion and magic of this book, because it's kind of at the crux of everything here. So we're going to lay a foundation with the world building and religion. So let's start with a quote. In their 24th year of mortal life, the gods ascended. Apollonius to the rulership of light and day, Nyxara to rulership of death and night, Hestrion to rulership of fire, Lariel to the rulership of air, Braxtos to the rulership of earth, and Celiar to the rulership of the sea. So all of these 6 gods were regular mortal people living on the Burnt Isles, which they weren't called the Burnt Isles at the time, but it is a series of island chain if you look on the map. But they took up their powers and at 24 years old ascended as gods. Then they all started fighting each other and fell back to Earth, and that event was called the Gods' Fall. And during that time, Nyxara decided to attack Apollonius, and Apollonius ended up killing her. And so they all, quote unquote, died, and we'll get back to that later, except for Apollonius, who disappeared. Okay. Apollonius, who is our main god in the world that we're in, is known as the bleeding god. And he is, again, the main god that is worshipped in this story. There's a group of monks that is sworn to him called the Presque Mort, and they channel mortem. He was blessed. He has blessed the Arsenault line, and one of his chosen heirs will be blessed with his power known as spiritum. Okay, so the Presque Mort are the monks. They use mortem. They all have powers due to the fact that they have had near-death experiences. So what they do is they channel mortem into a stone or a plant or something, because when Nyxara fell to earth, and actually, this is a little topic of conversation that Catherine and I had that we didn't quite understand, but we're going to explain it the best we can here. Okay. So Nyxara was known as the buried goddess because when the God's fall happened and she was killed, she fell onto one of the burnt isles and created a crater there. Okay. But somehow Nyxara's body is buried underneath the city that they live on top of. So she's known as the buried goddess. And there was a group of women called the Buried Watch that no longer exist. We'll come back to that story later. But they were charged with basically guarding her body. And the reason that the Presque Mort have to channel all of this mortem is because mortem is Nyxara's power, and it leaks out of her corpse, her tomb underneath the city. And so the monks are there to keep the power in check.
Yep.
Woof.
That's
a lot. It's a lot.
Did I do okay?
Yes.
You did. No, that is essentially it. That was good. You did it. I'm very proud of you.
Fascinating magic system.
That
the
was
fact
it,
that it is religion and gods and magic all in one.
Yes.
And it is so, I grew up Catholic, and I'm not saying this is Catholicism, but the way that they describe it feels so much like they're describing a real religion.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was very well done. Very well done.
Yep. I loved it.
My first impression when I read Apollonius and Nyxara and all of the rest of the gods, my first impression was, okay, so we had 6 gods. 4 died. Then Nyxara and Apollonius battled each other. Nyxara she died, defeated. We'll get to the concept of if she's dead or not later. And then Apollonius was left over. And then he's basically told the Arsenault person.
Yeah, Gerard Arsenault, the king.
Yes, that became the king.
Mm-hmm.
I will one day have a chosen one, and behold, I will be reborn. And so this whole religion that was founded on 6 gods became a new religion, really just founded on the one. Mm. But my whole time reading this, because I just like to not believe anything anybody ever tells me. I just have to challenge everything.
That's not true. That's not true.
My first thought was, I don't necessarily trust these mortals and their interpretation of this theology. Because looking at it from the outside in, my first thought is, it sounds like you had one god who defeated all of the other gods to steal their power, failed to steal the power of Nyxara, has a chosen one put in place because he's going to eventually try again to steal her power, and then corrupted all of these mortals into worshiping him.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So in my mind, I'm thinking everybody is saying that there's, 100% brainwash. Everybody was saying at the beginning of it that life and death, they are equal. There's nothing inherently evil about death. However, they've all been corrupted to believing that Nyxara is evil. Her power is evil. Everything surrounding mortem is evil. And Apollonius is the future. Everything of Apollonius is the future. And for me, I'm just kind of thinking, okay, but in my head, Apollonius is the bad guy.
For sure.
And nobody sees it that way the whole book. And I will say the whole book, nobody's seeing this. This is my interpretation, but and I think you guys agree with me in this, but nobody else in this whole book, this book one at least, sees it that way throughout the entire book.
Yeah. It's spiritual blindness. It's believing in something to a point where you have blinders on and you can see nothing else in front of you. And kind of to support that too, Catherine, I always thought it was interesting that the Preskmore, who are the monks that worship Apollonius, the power that they channel is Mortem, which is Nyxara's power.
Right.
So you're telling me that your god is powerful enough and important enough, but the power that you can all channel comes from another god?
Right. Yeah. But you're just keeping it down. It's like, yeah.
Maybe that other god is important.
Pretty powerful.
Is pretty powerful.
Yep.
Maybe she's not that bad.
Maybe
she's misunderstood.
Yep.
And we'll talk about this later. There is something in there called the law of opposites, which is something that they talk a lot about in the book, and how if one thing is evil, is the opposite of it good inherently? Or can there be a little bit more to that? Are things not necessarily so black and white? So we'll kind of get to that later because it will pertain to topics we're going to cover in a little bit. But yeah, the whole magic system and the whole god system is in this book is absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. And I think one thing I really love about it is the reason why Apollonius is the worshipped god in this kingdom comes down to the fact that he told the Arsenal line, you're my chosen.
Yes.
And so of course the powerful men are going to be like, oh, we're your chosen. You must be.
We will worship.
We will worship you because you are going to pick us. You're giving us power through your just declaration. And so it's such a good just analogy in general for there are a lot of very positive things for a lot of people about spirituality and religion in general. And there are also a lot of negatives, especially this is a really good example of a negative of, like you said, blindly following or being like, you know what? I want to be in power. You said I'm going to be in power. I believe you because that's what I want. So yeah, of course I'm going to worship you and follow you. And so I love it.
He has the benefit of being the last man standing who got the last word in.
For now. For now.
But for hundreds of years.
Yes. No, you're right.
1,000 years.
You're right.
How long has it been? They've just been like going by that.
Right. Absolutely. It's easy to just keep following when you hold the power, and it is what it is. It's confirmation bias. Oh, I believe I should be powerful. You think I should be powerful too, Apollonius? You must be the best god.
It's like the ultimate manifesting.
You get power.
Yes, exactly.
And then a couple of more things to talk about in our world building and kind of religious sect of this, not sect, that's a very religious word, but section of the podcast.
Of this
outline, there you go. So Nyxara, again, is known as the buried goddess. So she also had a group of monks, but mostly female priestesses. So the sister organization to the Preskmort was called the Buried Watch. They no longer exist because they used to guard Nyxara's tomb and guard the mortem leaking out. But years ago, one of them, who was called the Night Witch, claimed to be the goddess reborn. Everyone thought she had gone mad, and so she was killed. The Buried Watch was disbanded, but some of them, we find out, have gone into hiding and still practice in secret.
And it's easily accomplished because they're doing it literally underground.
Literally underground.
In the catacombs.
Literally. Yep. Where no one wants to go.
Where nobody but wants to go because it's basically like You know the elephant's foot in Chernobyl? Nobody wants to go near it because it's leaking
Yeah.
radioactive materials.
Yeah.
That's Nyxara's tomb. Nobody wants to go near it. And in fact, every eclipse, they send a woman into the tomb to check to make sure the buried goddess is still buried. And guess what happens? She goes insane every time.
Yep. She sure does. She
See?
sure does. Whoopsie. Just so y'all know, as soon as they said the Night Witch, I was set. I was like, witches. I'm in.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Night Witch.
Night Witch.
Oh,
I'm gonna.
we got
I'm
witches.
gonna connect to the Night Witch. She could be my girl.
And then also to point out, something very important happens on people's 24th birthday, which is consecration. And remember, the gods ascended when they were 24 years old in their mortal life. So in this world, you get consecrated on your 24th birthday, which basically is your introduction into the religion. I would think of it as something like a
Baptism.
A baptism.
like
confirmation.
confirmation, baptism, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it happens on your 24th birthday, and we will have some characters go through that.
Can I also just say that I appreciated that the characters were not teenagers. They were young, but 24, they are full-grown adults. And I liked that the consecration was on their 24th birthday, because in a lot of religions, it's like you have to make those decisions younger. And I just appreciated these are grown adults, maybe making decisions for themselves, but maybe they're brainwashed, but whatever. But they're adults in this position.
Yes.
And so I enjoyed it. I wasn't reading about 16-year-olds.
Their frontal lobes are fully
Yes.
formed. They are able to make adult decisions.
They have
We
adult
thank
jobs. Yes. Yes. Hey,
you. Adult job.
listen.
Somebody's got to do it.
Moms told them to do it, so they did it. Okay.
Did anybody, this is never like called out. It's just stated, but I couldn't help but think, that figures. The priestess female organization is disbanded. The male organization is the one that remains. I think it was interesting how it's just, that is just stated as the fact. And it's kind of just left to linger there, as if you've paid attention enough, you're kind of like, yeah, that's kind of a reflection of a lot of things in society where
For sure.
a female organization will go away, the male organization
Not
remains.
believed. Right.
Yes, exactly. And I
women
just,
are not
She's
believed,
gone
just the men.
mad.
yeah,
Right.
I liked
Sure.
that subtle call out. It wasn't overt or anything, but
Right.
I saw it.
Yeah.
I saw it.
Right. Lindsay. Yeah, she's gone mad. Okay.
Let's kill her.
Kill the
Yeah.
witch. Okay.
Shocker.
Sure.
They're burning the witches even if you aren't one. Sorry.
All right.
Sorry, Catherine. We tailored.
It's okay. I like that song.
And I leap from the That's a different song. Anyway.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about the setting.
Yep.
All right, you talk about the setting, Kelly.
Sure. The main kingdom we are in this book is Auvergne, and the main city is Delair. We've got the court of the citadel and then the church. And so we see the court and the royal and the king, the sainted king, very much, I don't want to say equal, almost equal to the church and the powers of the church. They are so intertwined, so much so that literally the king and the highest priest are twin brothers. So it just is a very good way to picture the setting.
It's like a little bow.
It's like a little bow. Also, did you appreciate my crispy tea on setting? Did you notice that?
Can we call out for a second the
Yeah.
fact that there was a reference to a crisp tea that Lindsay literally
There was.
There was.
I took
There
a
was.
picture
did it to us.
Yep.
and
it
tagged
was,
it.
Catherine was
to
in there.
Catherine's crispy tea. And the court, the citadel, and the church are both, the whole city are built on top, remember,
Yes.
of Nyxara's tomb. And I feel like
Yes.
that is very important.
Yes. Is this the
Weird.
book where the floors are? No. Nope.
This sidebar. you know how they would talk about the floor, like when she enters the throne room and the iron?
Yes,
I
okay,
could
that's what I was about to
not
say.
picture that in my brain to save my life. And I don't know if you guys
Mm.
did. It's
Yes.
not important to the story, but that
I was about to bring it
fully
up. So
escaped me and I
yeah.
could not picture it. So if one of you can describe it, it's been bothering me.
Yeah. So the way that I pictured it was like literal metal, not, bars, but like flat bars that are, instead of like grout in tiles or in big marble pieces, I saw them as, if you were like on the ceiling looking down, it looks like checkerboards, or like bars of a prison cell, and they're flat, so like they can be a floor, and then like the rest of the marble is like around it. So it literally, if you were to sink the marble, it would just be like the bars of a prison cell that you're looking onto. So like all flat, but like grout almost looking, if that
Did they
makes sense.
talk about how it kind of went up to the throne itself? Because I thought there was a reference somewhere at the beginning of the book when he's
Well, I don't
sitting
remember.
there, and he says she describes it as jutting out because the king was sitting on the throne and
Around the
almost
throne.
hit one of the bars, and that's where
Mm.
I struggled to really picture it, because I was like, what is jutting out and why?
Coming out. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember that piece, but
I don't remember enough
yeah,
about it to have
I
it didn't
liked
have
the
an impact
visual.
on me.
Yeah, I liked
Yeah.
the
No,
visual
it
to me
didn't.
of like,
It doesn't impact anything. I just got, when I can't picture something in my brain,
yeah.
it just sits
Yeah.
there and bothers me.
Yeah, it honestly, to me, it was like 4-inch thick grout, that instead of grout, it was flat iron bars, that if
Gotcha.
you like poked the marble and it like disappeared,
could
like you're like
sink.
dropping on it in Mario Kart, that if it sunk, it would be like, oh, this is a prison cell. Like that's how I was picturing it in my head.
Okay.
All Varane has an enemy in the Carithian Empire. And this is an entire kingdom that is a border empire to them. The emperor's name is Jax. There are some characters that we will meet and we'll talk about in a little bit who are connected to Carithia, very big part of it. And a lot of the questions in the book about people's
Loyalty.
motivations and loyalty come to this like fear of Carithia is making you do this, or Carithia is in on this. So that is definitely a very important empire that we hear about a lot in the book, but we never go there.
Not
And we
yet.
never actually meet anyone who is like deeply connected with it. So it's an interesting thing to keep in mind for potentially future books. Then we have the Burnt Isles, which, as Lindsay said, is now a prison. The king and the Sun Prince will threaten you with going to the Burnt Isles, and it is taken very seriously. This is not a place that you want to go.
You will mine gems.
You will mine gems, exactly. But before it was a prison, this is the place where Apollonius, Nyxara, and all the other gods lived. Nyxara and Apollonius specifically lived on the largest island in this group called the Golden Mount. And then during the Gods' Fall, that is when Nyxara landed on the second island and made a huge crater there.
And it's interesting because I think when Lindsay and I went back and looked at that specific passage, I think they said that it's like the prison has to be on one of the smaller burnt isles, because they mentioned there being a smog, and travelers have forever tried to find the Golden Mount, the largest isles, and this smog prevents them from finding it. So
yeah,
it's basically hidden. So it's like they know the location, but there's some magical force around it making it so nobody can travel there except for the prison, which presumably would have to be on one of those smaller isles, since there's, I think, 7 of them in the chain.
But try to tell me that we're not going to go and try to
We're going to the burn
find that smog. Like, if you're going to tell me that there's smog and no one can find it, and then we're not going to go there, that's BS. We're
100%.
There's no reason why it would be mentioned if we weren't going there.
Absolutely. And then they say that all of the like the other minor gods, when they fell, when they died, she calls out different locations in the book where they fell, and then gems sprouting up from where they fell, because apparently gods bleed precious gems. Amazing.
I wish I did.
So all that to me says, oh, we're going to go on a quest. We're going to
Yeah.
go on a quest.
There's a side quest.
Yeah.
I love
I was
it.
always a little confused by this too, because Nixara's body fell and created that crater, but also Nixara's body is underneath the city. So was she moved? It's not
Yeah.
a big enough detail that it really matters or I really need an answer, but I remember having to read those passages a couple of
confirm.
times to be like, but wait, I thought she was here. So maybe the simple explanation is
They
they
took
moved
her,
her.
I think.
Like,
Yeah,
Maybe they,
I think
came
they
and
moved her.
boomed and then flew into the air and then
They boomed,
landed on the
boomed.
city. Well,
They
imagine
boomed.
these massive gods with all
She
of their
made a
power
crater
just,
and then flopped
just
back out.
fighting and then boom.
Yeah. Again,
Honestly,
not enough
yeah.
that I feel like it's a plot hole. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I just had to read it a couple of times to be
Yeah.
like, wait a second.
I had to reread it because I was like, wait a minute, where is she? But then in my head, the way that I was like, oh, that's the reason. And I just kept moving on was, well, if her body's leaking mortem and they think that if they're worried about her potentially like waking up again, they want to make sure that they have control over her. So they're going to put her body where they can watch her, which is right under their kingdom. And so that's where my head went. And then I just was like,
but
oh, cool.
also like unsafe. Like if you were that worried about it, then put the Preskmore there.
In the desert.
Right. True. On the burnt isles.
On the burnt isles.
Or
Don't
bury
bring
her
the
in the
bitch.
ocean.
Yeah, like don't bring the bitch into the kingdom where everyone lives on top of her fucking radioactive body.
Listen,
Yes,
when men are
because
put
it
in
is
charge,
radioactive.
okay?
Literally. Like leave her out in the ocean.
Seriously. Men.
I never thought about that
men.
until just now. That's funny. All right, Catherine, lore.
Talk about the characters.
All right, so our main female character is Lore. She is a poison runner. She begins the story where a job of hers goes sideways. She's about to be caught, so she uses her mortem power, which she has concealed from everybody up until this point. She is very much aware of her power. She absolutely fears it. She has channeled it before and knows all the bad things that happen when you channel death, and she is trying to avoid it. But she needs a distraction to get out and escape the guards. So she reanimates Horse. Horse is a horse, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
A horse is a horse, of course, of course.
She also names him Horse, but she's caught anyways. So they bring her to the palace, to the citadel, and surprise, you're not about to be killed or sent to the Burnt Isles. Actually, what we need you to do instead, August.
Stop it. Don't start it. Don't start it. We will be here all night if we have to giggle every time we say Auguste. So don't even go there. We've got fucking 6 more pages left.
Okay, go. Mom said no. Kath, keep going.
She is brought to the citadel to August. This is also the place where she meets Gabriel for the first time, a Preskmore. I hate that I can't say my crispy T at the end of that word. They tell her they want her to spy on the Sun Prince Bastian, as they think he himself is spying for Corythia. Her consecration is going to take place soon as well. She is about to turn 24. Ironically, she's going to turn 24 on an eclipse, which is a very, very magical day of the year.
Coincidence. Total coincidence.
Total coincidence. Didn't see that one
She is
coming.
nobody important, obviously.
As part of this, she has told that 2 whole villages have basically died overnight. Nothing left on their bodies to show that they were tortured or beheaded or faced any type of battle. And she notes that if they had had a mortem leak or anything like that, their bodies would have reflected that physically. So the fact that these bodies are basically dead and clean, and at this point she has not actually seen the bodies, but presumably if they're dead and clean, how did they die? Wasn't mortem. Who can kill an entire village overnight? So that's the other mystery that she has to solve. So we have a quote here. It says, "And that is the crux of our issue. While our order does have the ability to channel mortem, none of us are capable of resurrection. So what August wants her to do is resurrect one of these dead villagers and ask them, hey, what happened?
Hey, how'd you die?
Why'd you die?" He says, "Not like you. All we need is for you to bring the victims back to life long enough for them to relay their memories, tell us what happened before they died, and see how it was done."
Because
So,
not only that's kind of the importance of her power, not only can she channel mortem, but she also has the power of resurrection, which
which
is
they
very
know.
frowned upon.
Yes.
Yes, not only frowned upon, but they know about this because, come to find, they've been watching her since she was 13 years old, and the very first time she ever channeled mortem to bring back a friend of hers who died. And they found out about it and have been watching her ever since. So they know that not only can she channel mortem, they know that she can resurrect the dead.
His name
I
was Cedric.
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 Cedric. The
I got
handsome
it.
one.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Yeah, we're all
Harry
there.
Potter number 2.
We're all there. The handsome one.
So a little bit of a backstory on Lore. And it does take a lot of the book for us to get all of her history. We're going to tell you it right now. Just cut to the chase. She was born in the catacombs to a member of the Buried Watch, one of the Night Sisters.
Which, can I become one of the Night Sisters? That's a badass name for a group of women, I'm just saying.
Okay, but you also have to stay underground.
Not that part. I just want my name.
Time. And a lot of you are people who your family kicked you out of the family because you got pregnant and sent you underground.
I mean,
Details.
the name is freaking badass. The
give you
Night
that.
Sisters.
I'll give you that.
Sisters of the Night. Anyway.
The Buried
But
Watch.
that is what happened to Lore's mother. That is the reason Lore's mother found herself with the Buried Watch, and that was why Lore was born in their presence. But just because you're born down there does not mean you will be able to channel mortem. Lore's just special. She's the only one that can. And they have known that. All of the Buried Watch sisters have known that about Lore since she was born. As a child, 13 years old, I think it was, she was going to be sacrificed. So as we said, every eclipse, one of the sisters is brought to the tomb of the buried goddess to make sure she's still in there sleeping and has not, I guess, gone poof. And they open the tomb, and I mean, wild.
The technical term. Come on.
They open the tomb, and apparently they just go crazy. Their eyes, I think they say their eyes like glaze over as almost like pure white, as if they've just completely seen death. Shocker, they just did. And she was to be sacrificed. So she has a moon crescent shape on her palm to signify that. But her mother, before that could happen, had a mother moment. And helped her escape to the surface. That is where she found her mothers, which we'll talk about here soon.
And she's just sarcastic.
She is. She is a very sarcastic character.
Very sarcastic.
She is also a character that I will say has been very much conditioned to believe her mortem is the root of all evil, and the fact that she channels it, like there's a conversation that happens later on with Gabe, and he's telling her about their equivalent of their heaven, their spiritual realm. And he's saying, well, you don't believe it? And she's like, I believe in it in theory, but even if I do, because I have this gift, it would not be a realm I would ever be welcome to. So she has this very depressive thought about herself. And I get the sense from her that she's going to be a character that will just martyr herself because she feels she deserves it because of this just conditioning about her power.
Right.
So she's Edward from Twilight. I mean, it's true. Like, he believes 100%. That he's not going to go to heaven, that it doesn't exist for him because he's a demon.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's the same way. She doesn't believe that heaven exists for her.
Yeah. And it's funny because I saw it as like I'm not going there anyway. Like, I didn't see it as like I'm not going to get to go. Like, I feel like she's just like, I'm not. Clearly, I'm in the wrong.
Them differently.
We do. We definitely do.
That.
She was very sarcastic. And yeah, I think she's
She
like, yeah,
is.
I'm not good. I agree with you. She's like, yeah, clearly I'm not good. So what am I going to get out
I
of
wonder,
this?
Kelly, if because you listened to the book too, I wonder if like
Yeah.
Yeah, she says everything
the
very,
intonation
yes.
like let you have a different perspective on
Yeah,
that.
Kath, I think she says a lot of things very sarcastically, very,
I would like that.
she doesn't care. Like, she doesn't care that she's not. She's just like, well, like,
She's
I'm
obviously
flippant
not
that's
going.
not
about
me.
it. You
Very
mean
flippant. That's a great word. Exactly. She's like, oh, well, not
interesting?
me.
Because reading it, I feel a weight she's putting on herself
Yeah.
for her own power. That maybe it's
Yeah.
a weight that just because I'm reading it, I'm
Right.
interpreting it as
Yeah.
such.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're like, it's like I'm aware of it, but it just is what it is.
Yeah. I
Whatever.
think
Let's
I
move
agree
on.
that it's a weight on her, but in like a funny, like well, I'm not a millionaire, so
Self-deprecating
that's
way.
not for me. Yeah, self-deprecating and yeah, okay, I'm not gonna live there because I don't have money and but it's yeah, like flippant. Well, I'm not blessed that way, so keep it moving kind of thing, not in like a woe is me kind of way.
Let's talk about Prince Bastian Leander Arsenault.
Uh,
Hmm.
Oh, handsome.
He is known as the Sun Prince. He is King August's son, and his consecration, it takes place very quickly in the book. It's actually the first event that Lore attends as part of this new court spy, right? But something kind of odd happens at his consecration. His uncle, who remember is the leader of the church, carves a half sun into his palm. Okay, which again is not a normal part of the consecration. And so Lore and everyone else sees it and kind of has this like,
Wait, I didn't think blood was involved or a knife.
it's weird. Yeah.
Right. Why is that
happened
happening?
there?
Mm-hmm. Why me?
We'll find out later, of course, that symbol was very meaningful. But in the beginning, when it first happened, everyone just kind of scratches their noses a bit at it. So he is described as having white skin, gilded in sunlight. There's a constant talk about him with sunlight or golden light. I remember there's even a scene where he stands in front of a window and Lore mentions that the light is shining behind him, almost like the sun is coming out of him. Hello, imagery.
Right.
Sharp jaw, dark eyes.
But isn't that
Handsome.
interesting that she says this light behind him when his features themselves, his dark hair, his dark eyes, and he usually wears dark clothing? There's something there.
Imagery.
Oh, I will tell you right away. I was like, oh, he's a Polyus. Polyus come back to him by immediately. And then I was like, oh,
100%.
she has a half moon. Oh, like the buried goddess. Oh, it's the two of them. Like knew it right away.
Yes.
Did I like it less? No. Like loved it.
How many times did we all make notes in our books as we were reading about how Lore says that she feels a connection to him?
Yes, I feel like I've met you before.
Over and over and over.
Yep.
And to Gabe. Equally
And to
Gabe.
Gabe.
Both of them.
Yes.
Right. But specifically talking about Bastian, there's even quotes in here. It says, powers that oppose each other sharpen each other in turn. The presence of darkness increases light, and the light drowns the darkness. But my children have caution, for neither can be wholly tamed except by your God. Life cannot exist without death, and to hold the whole of them is holiness. So there's so many quotes like that Lore's connection to the prince was laid out in such a super obvious way that they are light and dark, good, evil. They are supposed to be the opposites to each other. But her connection with Gabe is almost unexplained.
Yes.
To me.
100%.
You know, like Bastian's is so obvious. Like you get all of those hints and all of those clues and you're like, oh, that's where it is. But then you also get the quotes about her connection to Gabe, but they're still just unexplained. Yeah. I can't wait to see where all that goes.
For sure. And I think I texted you guys at one point, like maybe 50% in. And I was like, I love that there are two male main characters and I can't tell which one it's gonna be with her.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, it's obviously Bastion, who's clearly going to be Apollonius reborn. And then the consecration ends, and then she gets closer to Gabe, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. And we're going to talk a lot about the three of them throughout this episode, but I kind of loved that even at the end of the book, I'm still like, well, is it? What? Like, what is that? It's not like a clear closing of a chapter to me. So I love
we got theories. Don't worry.
We got theories for sure.
Lindsay, can I point out something on the quote that you just mentioned? Because
Yes.
when I highlighted that same quote, and it's Anton giving the quote during his consecration, there was one line in there, and I'm already like hackles up questioning their interpretation of theology. But when Anton says the presence of darkness increases light and light drowns darkness, he's first presenting opposites magnifying the other, like powers oppose each other and sharpen each other in turn. But then he goes on to say light will basically always win out over darkness. And I'm like, you are so skewed in your own theology because you believe wholeheartedly for Apollonius that you're ignoring the fact that it won't happen that way. They will equally charge each other. Both powers will grow equally because of the others. And it was just such an interesting nuance that shows you how like in it Anton is. Like he is obviously he's the head priest, so yes, obviously he's Apollonius all the way, but even in these subtle word choices by him, it comes through.
But don't forget, this was not by him. He was quoting the Bible.
You're right.
This is the book of holy law. So this was
even they think it.
Yes.
The whole church.
Yep. Yes.
Oh, Gabe. Let's talk about Gabe. So we have Gabe or Gabriel Rameau. He is formerly, and then again in this book, known as the Duke of Balgia. And the king forces him to take back up that previous title to escort Lore through the court. He pretends that they are cousins and that he is presenting her to the court, and that's why he has returned.
And to justify why she's there to begin with.
Exactly. That is her cover. He only has one eye, which this is one of the things that I have a criticism about in this book. How many times? Every time they mentioned his eye, his one eye, his one good eye, his one eye. I was like, I get that he has one eye. Like it just got to the point where I was like, oh my God, I get he has one eye.
Anyway. How about this? He's a ginger. His flame red hair. Flame red hair. Did you know flame red hair?
Flame red hair and one eye. Blue eye, which I liked. But that just it got to a point where I was just like, I was laughing. I was like in my head to myself, do you think he has one eye? I think he might have one. Wait, one eye doesn't work? In the car, I was listening to it and I was like, wait a minute, to nobody by myself. Wait a minute. Does he not have two eyes? Like an idiot. Anyway, he has one eye, everybody. He wears a leather eye patch, and he becomes a member of the Prescamore because of his father's betrayal. So his father betrays the kingdom, and the Emperor Jax of Carinthia kills his family, and he sees his father killed right in front of him, and Emperor Jax actually takes out his eye in that moment. So Gabe sees terrible things. He's traumatized, sees this whole thing happen, loses an eye. Well, he saw it all happen, and then his eye was taken. So wait, does he only have one? What happened to his eye?
Only half.
I'm sorry, I did that because I wanted
you
Lindsay
still see things.
No, but also he killed him before he took his eye out.
Lindsay to laugh.
And it worked. Congratulations. You know how to make me laugh.
There you go. So anyway, so he sees all this happen, very traumatizing, loses an eye, almost dies, this is his near-death experience, and is taken in and essentially raised by Anton, who is August's twin brother.
Please read my outline, what it says. Read it. Read that line.
Where?
Betrayal?
Nope.
I missed it. Okay, so he's raised by Anton. And as Lindsay wants me to point out, he thinks that Anton shit don't stink.
He
Truly.
is so far up Anton's ass. I don't know where
up.
Anton ends and Gabe begins.
Truly. They are
made
cat
myself
dog.
laugh
Cat dog.
when I typed that really hard.
For sure.
And also important to point out too that Balgia, where he is the Duke of his little fiefdom, if that's the right word, is right on the border, on the edge of Auvergne and Carinthia.
Yep,
so that's the reason why that happened there and why it happened to his family. And so we don't really know if the betrayal was justified or not, right?
Yeah.
We know that he was accused of it and it happened, but we really don't know the truth, the full truth behind the story.
But here's what we do know. He was a 10-year-old boy.
Yes.
And
no clue.
Everybody blames him for the sins of his father. I mean, even in present day, nobody acknowledges he was a fucking 10-year-old. And what do 10-year-olds do when an emperor is coming and kills your whole family? You hide. Like a normal 10-year-old will.
Yeah.
And they just crucify him for that.
They really do.
It's just, and that is why his entire character is built on this desire for forgiveness.
Yes.
For his
it's really sad.
Sins. And that is why he will do everything that Anton says, because Anton tells him, I had a vision. You are a part of a bigger world. Something positive will happen. You have to be in this press more, and everything happy will happen if you just follow me in this religion. And so that is, he does not know how to stand on his own 2 feet.
No, he became insufferable to me at the end.
Anton, I could not stand Gabe at the end. At the very, very,
and I liked
end.
him. I wanted to like him, and then he kept making decisions that made me throw the book, because it was such good examples of people just being brainwashed by anything, but in this case, by religion, by believing so deeply in this thing that is clearly opposite all of your best interests and opposite all of the things that are staring you right in the face.
Yes.
And you just continue to make those decisions, and he became absolutely insufferable. But I did still have a hope for him. So at the end, I'm happy with where things left, because he is someone that there are characters who become insufferable to me that I'm like, if you give them a redemption arc, like I don't care enough. Like, I want to move on. I want him to have a redemption arc, because we saw so much of the good he could be. And I was just like, come on, Gabe, like the whole time.
The whole time he's pointing out literally the corruption and rot in the Citadel. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm hoping at the end of this book, he's going to see Anton for who he truly is.
Right.
And that hopefully when that happens, then he will have an absolutely devastating reaction, realize the rot, and he will grow from there. And guess what? None of that happens. He doubles down. He blames Bastian, because I think Laura had the best quote. She said, "You're like a kicked dog going back to his master." And that perfectly describes Gabe. He's basically a character that has been abused and goes back to his abuser. So I think it'll be later books where I think he still needs to just wallow in the whole
he needs
corruption of their religion and realize how corrupt everything is before finally something is going to be the catalyst for him to change and stand on his own 2 feet, because he has to.
And I appreciate his characterization, because there's enough left to him that I want to root for. I want him to see that things could be different. I want him to see that he's been brainwashed, because he is good enough at the core. And it's like the kind of person you want to root for, because they have just been brainwashed. They have been abused, and like they are going to need time to come. They need to come to this by themselves. It's not the kind of thing that you can like shake your friend and be like, leave him, he's cheating. Like, we've had this conversation before. You know what I mean? Like, he needs to come to that realization on his own. And I think it can happen with him. So I'm rooting for you, Gabe. I'm rooting for you.
I made a flippant joke to Lindsay when I was at our house, and I was like, I think Gabe needs a come to Jesus moment. But then I was like, but in this instance, I think Apollonius is Jesus and Apollonius is evil. So I don't want him to have a come to Jesus
He
moment.
doesn't need to come to Jesus.
No, but I actually have a slightly different view on Apollonius, but we can get to that later because I don't necessarily think he's evil, but I have thoughts.
Lindsay, before
Hold it.
Yes.
Hold it. One last thing I want to point out about Gabe is that Gabe and Bastian were actually childhood best friends, and that dynamic will come into play a lot throughout the book. We are going to have a big discussion about aspects of this later, but want to make a note here. It is important. They were BFFs as little boys.
And their animosity, I guess, stems from the fact that they had like a fight leading up to that event, and Gabe gets sent home because of their little fight. And then all of the events happen.
Yep.
And so he kind of he blames unfairly. He even acknowledges that he's unfairly blaming Bastian, but he can't help but feel this blame towards Bastian for that.
Yep.
Then we have King August Arsinoe. He is the sainted king and Bastian's father. He's also regularly dousing himself with poison. So one thing that we haven't yet brought up, we've brought up the magic of the world, but we haven't brought up the way that mere mortals can kind of attain that magic themselves. And the way that they do that is poisoning themselves with various plants, foxglove, belladonna,
hemlock,
all of these lovely little things, which are illegal in their world, but will bring you to the cusp of death, and in the process of doing that, extends your life. Now, there are certain users that will take it too far. I think they called them revenants, where they're basically almost zombies at that point. But the point of taking...
It's a word for ghost.
Yeah.
A revenant is another word for a ghost, yeah.
But the point for them taking it is to extend their life. And so something that is completely outlawed in their regular world is just used so freely and by everybody at court, as if there is no law against it. And the king
in fact, where do they get most of their poison from? It's what they steal from the commoners and send them to the burnt isles for. They're like, oh yeah, this is the stash closet, and they just use
put it in a closet and go get what you need from there.
Get what you need. Yeah. Someone died because of this, but go ahead.
I kind of think it's interesting because if you took out the poison storyline in this book, everything would still make sense.
It does.
Like the poison, if you think about it, really doesn't affect the storyline.
It doesn't.
Other than the fact that
the king.
Well, he's dying anyway.
He's dying and he's just using it to...
Yeah, but like if you took it out... But I say that with the caveat of it's called The Foxglove King. The next book is called The Hemlock Queen. It's the Nightshade series, which is another poison plant. Like clearly it's going to be more important, but I think it's interesting. I kept waiting for the poison to become more a significant and plot-driven part of the storyline. And if you think about it, the use of poison does not have anything to do with the plot. You could take out the poison and we would have the same story.
Yeah. It does.
It just adds to reasons why people did things, but it doesn't. They could have done that for any reason.
Yeah, it's not plot driven at all. So,
and I do feel like it adds to more of this belief that death is evil because they're using all of these poisons to fight against it, but then they're also being punished for it at the same time. So anything surrounding death is either thought of something evil to avoid or something you will be punished for. And I think it's kind of collectively lending itself towards their belief that everything in that death side of things is bad. So it establishes a mood in that regard. But I had a conversation with Lindsay because I walked up to her in a bookstore last week and I was like, Lindsay, who is the Foxglove King? Like, who is that character? And we still don't know. Like, Lindsay and I don't. So if anybody
Oh,
watching this knows, because the only person taking poison is literally King August, but is he a big enough character to name an entire book after? Like, who is the actual Foxglove King? Because at the very end, they make a point of saying
I think it's
names and
Bastion,
they call
Right.
her
the
the
Hemlock Queen.
Hemlock Queen. And we're like, okay, well,
Mhm.
that's clear for book 2.
Well, and
But
that's our
They're
question is who is
dressed as
it?
Foxglove,
who?
aren't they? Didn't she make a comment about their outfits and their clothing when they're seeing all the people who
No,
are
that's
asking
what
for
Gabe
forgiveness
and her were dressed as. Bastion dressed Gabe and her as a
as Foxglove?
joint
Yeah,
foxglove
for the mask
for the
for the
masked
ball.
ball. But who is the Foxglove King?
Yeah, she also mentions it at the end when they're at the very final, when they're talking about how she's seated next to him and they're seeing everybody, and then Gabe comes in and he appoints him the way that he does. She makes a comment about them dressing that way again, the two of them. And so you're right, they never say straight up, oh, Bastion is the Foxglove King, the way that they kind of alluded to the fact that they call her the Hemlock Queen. But I think it's gonna be Bastion, and I'm curious if we're gonna get a little bit more of the why they call them that in the
Yeah.
next books, because right now it's just because
Because
you
he's
dressed
not,
like them.
he
Like,
Yeah.
makes the point of saying,
I
I
just
would never take poison. So it's like, why would it be
yeah.
Bastion?
I
yeah,
just think it's interesting that that's what the first book is called
yeah,
Yeah.
when
and it wasn't as big of a
it's
part.
really
Yeah.
it's really not as big. We might look back on it after reading other books and go, "Oh, that's why it
Ooh.
was started out this way."
Yeah,
But
for
after
sure.
reading the whole first book, you're like, hmm.
Right. No,
Hmm.
totally agree with that. I'm
Yeah.
The last thing
curious.
I will say about King August, he's dying. That's why he's dousing himself.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to
He knows
extend
it
his life through poison.
so that he can make sure that he solidifies the fact that his son is not going to be
Shh,
Apollonius's
spoilers.
chosen. We're in the
Spoilers.
spoiler zone,
We're in
people.
the spoiler zone.
We are solidly in it.
And then King August's twin brother, convenient twin
Yeah.
here, is Anton Arsinoe, who is the priest exalted. He is the leader of the church and the leader of the Preskmore. Again, we talk about in the beginning about power and the separation of church and state, or the not separation of church and state, because you literally have two twin brothers. One of them is the head of the state and the other one is the head of the church. Interesting dynamic there, right? And his shit doesn't stink, according to Gabe.
Absolutely. We do have two characters, Val and Mari, who we meet very early on, and they are Lore's essentially adoptive mothers. They are the women who found her when Lore came out from the catacombs, when her mother saved her from being sacrificed. And they are poison runners by trade, and that is how Lore got into what she was doing. They know Lore's secret, which is the fact that not only can she channel mortem, but she is also able to resurrect the dead. And they've been helping her to hide her powers. Until this is one of the first parts of the book, and honestly, maybe even the biggest part of the book, where I went, oh, like actually audibly,
Yeah,
was
me too.
Val betrays Lore. And it was devastating to me. I was not expecting it.
Do you remember that line she says to her right before that's revealed? She's like, I want you to remember everything I do is like for a purpose or for the greater good.
Yeah.
You bitch.
I was so upset. I was so upset.
Val.
Yeah.
Seriously, Val. I was very, very upset about that. So we have Val and Mari. They come back at the end of the book, and we'll talk about that. We have some honorable mentions of other characters. We have Michal, which is Lore's boyfriend in the beginning of the book. Elle, who's his sister. She is hilarious with Lore. They hate each other.
Michal. That's how it is pronounced.
Michal. Yeah, Michal.
Yep. So we're okay with Michal, but we're not going to go Auguste.
Because Auguste is stupid.
It's silly. It's silly.
Auguste.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like goose.
So Elle is mentioned in the first, or maybe first two chapters. She's talked about very quickly on. I really thought as soon as I started reading about her character, I was like, oh, that bitch is coming back. She's going to betray Lore. And she never came back. That was it. I really thought that she was being set up to be like this ultimate betrayer enemy. She was going to go to them with all the secrets, and then she never came back. So I'm curious if we'll see her again in book 2 or 3, because I think it was really setting her up to be that character. But I don't know.
She was. To me, honestly, now that I've finished the book, I see Elle as the way that we got to see that Lore is just a sarcastic kind of an asshole, like, like doesn't really care because she can be kind of a bitch to her fake boyfriend's sister. It was a setup for you to get who Lore is as a person, but I would be interested to see if she comes back. We also have Alienor Bellegarde, which is Gabe's ex-betrothed. They were betrothed as children, so they don't talk about the fact that they were in love and that's why they were engaged, but there's definitely some kind of
bond,
feelings and bonds between them, especially I think going from Allie towards Gabe. And their engagement was called off when Gabe's father betrayed the kingdom. And she's nice. We like her.
I like her.
I wanted to like her, but the whole time I wouldn't let myself like her, because I'm like,
you're worried.
She's gonna betray him. She's gonna betray him.
Yeah. No, she was sweet. She invited them to tea.
I'm like, oh, she's actually nice. That's good.
Good for you. Good for you.
You're not a bad.
And Lore even makes a point to say, or to point out, because we also meet Severin, who's Allie's father. He's not nice. We don't like him.
He's not nice.
But Lore points out, she points out Allie's face is so confused at the end. So she's like, clearly Allie was on my side. So I like it that the author took that second to just solidify that Allie.
Don't worry about Allie.
Everything.
She had no clue. Her and her friends were literally out to lunch all the time. They were just enjoying that they were wealthy and court ladies,
except
and they
for
don't know nothing.
Danny.
True.
Except
for Danny. Except for that bitch.
I don't like her.
Yep. Lindsay, how did you feel about Malcolm?
I really wanted to like Malcolm.
No.
The librarian. I love me a good librarian, but he turned out to kind of not be so nice. I was really like, really the librarian of all the characters? You have to take the librarian from me.
Yes. You have all of the evidence, all of the knowledge of the badness. Come on.
Come on.
There's also one more character we haven't mentioned. I just thought of her because I'm going to make a joke. Lore's mother. And we never learn her name.
She's the Night Witch.
The high priestess.
She's the new Night Witch.
But what I found the most interesting is the fact that at the end of the book, Lindsay and I are still scratching our heads like, what was her purpose? Like, why was she in league with Anton? Like,
no, we're not there, Catherine. You're skipping way ahead.
But the other thing I want to say about them is we talked about Val's betrayal. This is another mother that betrays her. So
yes,
2 of her 3 mothers that she's
this one didn't sting
betrayed.
as badly to me because she wasn't as close to her, but Val stung
for sure. I agree. The last character that's honorable mention that we mentioned before is Cedric, who is Lore's childhood friend, and that is the one who was killed when they were young, and she channeled Mortem for the first time when that happened and channeled it into his body and actually resurrected him. And Val and Mari saw it, and that's what started this whole shebang was started with the death of poor Cedric.
I hope Cedric's not just like walking around still. Like,
no.
Well, they make a point. She makes a point of saying that if I reanimated Horse and I reanimated that boy, was Cedric just walking around?
Yeah. Like, did somebody do something about that?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Is he still just walking around?
God, maybe. I hope not.
He needs instructions.
Maybe. So, what is really going on at court here, guys? Here's what we think is going on. Or not we, but the main characters. Lore and Bastian and Gabe and me think is going on at court.
And Lindsay.
We have the use of poison. We see that. We talked about that, right? We find out from Malcolm, the librarian, that Anton has been studying the law of opposites and that August has been studying transubstantiation.
Say that word 5 times fast. They say it a lot in this book.
I do. I had to type it a lot in my outline, and that got old.
Oh, yeah.
Real
So, the
quick.
law of opposites, I think we kind of touched on this earlier, but just to recap, the law of opposites is this idea in their religion that things have to have equality and opposite to them, right? So, in order for there to be darkness, there has to be light. In order for there to be death, there has to be life. At some point, they have an interesting conversation between Lore and Gabe, who, remember, is a monk, because he actually questions it. And Lore is like, that's weird. You're a monk. You're not supposed to
Right.
question religious teachings. But he makes the point to say that he doesn't necessarily believe in the law of opposites, because just because one thing is inherently good does not mean that the opposite of it is inherently bad, right? And very specifically, we're talking about Apollonius and Nyxara, right? Just because we worship Apollonius as good and his power is good does not mean that Nyxara is bad. It just means that they're different, okay? So Anton was studying the law of opposites, okay? August, the king, was studying transubstantiation, which is the idea that you can have one thing stand in for another. So the main three, their original theory was that the king was using the villages to basically take on his sickness, that he was transmuting his sickness, his disease, into these villages, and that's why the villages were dying overnight. Okay. Surprise, surprise. That's not what he was doing.
Yep.
He wanted to transmute Bastion's power that he will inherit from Apollonius, kill him, and take that power for himself. We'll go into that more later, but they thought one thing was happening, but surprise, it's not. The quote here is, one arsino can control spiritum, the power of life. My father was looking into how he could make himself into that one arsino, the last desperate attempt of a dying man to save himself. August is dying. So this is when Bastion tells Malcolm, Gabe, and Lore that he found this book on transubstantiation on his father's nightstand, and this is why they think that it is happening, that he is going to save himself.
This is also the first introduction to the concept that when a god dies, it's not necessarily their death, but the fact that their state has changed.
Yes.
And when that occurs, that is when you can assume power. So that is why Nyxara is presumed dead. And that is why Lore can have her power. Obviously, Apollonius has disappeared. And I think that nuance, I think, forms the basis of our theory on what's happening with Apollonius and Bastion that we'll talk about later.
It's also in this set of scenes that you just talked about when they're in the library and looking into everything in all these books that Lore and Bastion and Gabe put together the fact that in the Holy Book of Law, they say that Apollonius says, my chosen one, or the chosen, and that they realize, wait a minute, the word chosen can be plural or singular. So up until now, everybody is assuming that they're using the chosen as plural so that all of the Arsenal line is the chosen line. But they put together that no, it's not the whole line. It's a single chosen one. And that's going to kind of change the whole, like, it's going to give a lot of motivation that wasn't there before, knowing that it's not just everybody in the Arsenal line.
And Malcolm points out that August and Anton have already figured this out. They have already figured out that it's not just the entire line, it is one chosen one.
It also explains why they don't all
ding,
wield
ding, ding.
spiritum like they all thought the whole line was supposed to wield.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what brings a little beep, something's wrong here. Yep.
I always like Kelly.
Beep.
It's always this finger to say something's wrong, something's squirrely, it's not right.
Oh, because I have pretzels in the other hand.
Snacks in
and
one,
for my next
pointer in the other.
And for my next trick, I will make this pretzel disappear.
And bring up the wine.
Margarita tonight. Give me one margarita. No, nope.
That is just one. Catherine, take us to the catacombs. Tell us about the catacombs.
We're taking a trip.
So towards the end of the book, they go back into the catacombs. We're having a little bit of conflict right here between Bastian, Gabe, and Lore. And Bastian and Lore go down to the catacombs themselves while Gabe presumably is keeping watch. He's not. He's snitching. But they don't know that yet.
He's snitching.
But they go down into the catacombs, and one of the gifts that Lore has is that she can sense the entire layout of the maze of the catacombs, presumably due to her connection with Mortem. So they go into this maze, and she knows exactly where they need to go. They find where all of the people are, and literally it's all of the people from every single village laid out on a slab. And Lore notices there is a knot above them, a knot of Mortem, which she can control. So she goes to one of the villagers. The whole point of this is to awaken one without the influence of August and Anton around, and ask this villager, what happened to you? So she awakens one, and that one villager wakes up. And then, surprise, surprise, they all wake up, which has got to be fucking terrifying if you think about it.
Oh my God.
And all of a sudden,
all doing the same exact thing because they're all connected.
Because I just imagine them going,
like moving the same time. Yeah, like little very creepy stiff corpse robots. Yes.
And all of a sudden they start chanting. They awaken, as do the new vessels. New vessels?
Ding, 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 ding,
ding. Here come the gods.
I wonder who that could be. What Lore discovers, though, is that she cannot break her connection to all of these zombies, essentially. But what she also finds out at the same time is Bastian she doesn't find out. She doesn't realize this, but as the reader, what we realize is that Bastian is able to break her connection with Mortem because of his own power of spiritum. And at this point of the book, I was screaming at her, hello, how many times have you seen gold springing forth from his fingers? And you can't channel Mortem when he is around. And all of a sudden, you just found out that there's going to be one dude that is going to be the chosen one. And you are not connecting the dots yet. I mean, come on, lady. He's channeling spiritum, but she doesn't get it yet.
Did you think at this point, and actually this is a valid question through the rest of the book, I guess it's not really answered, but do you think that Bastian knew that he had power?
I got the impression no. And it wasn't one moment. It was several smaller moments and interactions he would have with people, and particularly when they're taken by Anton at the very end, right? And he's held there. That the vibe that Bastian was giving off was not one of somebody who knew this. I think he was slowly realizing it as she was. But the first time he wields it, he's shocked. But the first time he wields it, when they're in the alley after the fight, he's utterly shocked himself. He looks at, they make a point of saying, he looks as if, what?
So no, I get that, but how is it possible? If Lore is so powerful and has been hiding this her entire life and can barely contain her power. How is it possible that Bastian, who has an equal power to hers, hasn't had it leak out?
I have an answer.
What do you think?
Let's go back to the library if we can. So,
don't gotta tell Lindsay twice.
As they said, the dead goddess, she is dead, okay? And so her power can be assumed by somebody else. She is that change has occurred in her state, so her power can be assumed by somebody else. That's why Lore can assume
Since
the power.
Apollonius isn't
Apollonius disappeared. He's not dead. It is only when he has been his consecration and doing that mark that I think he is slowly being brought forth into Bastian.
I like that theory. That tracks.
Okay. I could see that.
Yeah.
I feel like if part of me wants to argue that and say if then Bastian would only get the power on the eclipse, I don't know that he would get it.
That would only be the power together. Remember the change that can occur on the eclipse.
So I guess it's the actual carving of it.
His consecration was when I think this, which we're going to talk about, but this possession of Bastian started that.
Well, actually, okay, that does make sense because if you think about Lore's power, she didn't, or at least we don't have evidence of her wielding mortem / resurrection specifically until she has the thing carved into her palm.
No, we do. She was born with it. They make a point of saying she was born with it, and that was why all of the priestesses would always look at her behind her back and talk about her the whole time. That was also one of the reasons why they selected her.
Yeah.
So then that negates my point with Bastian then. Because it would make sense. It would strengthen the argument with Bastian that he got it when he was carved if Lore got it when she was carved. But she doesn't have to
because her goddess is dead. She can get that power because of the whole concept they introduced.
It might have been prepping him for the moment kind of thing. Like when he came back, he'd be ready kind of thing.
Yeah.
But,
all right.
So what's Anton doing? Let's talk about Anton.
What's Anton doing? Gabe goes to get Anton because of course he did. He cannot do anything without, he cannot do anything without Anton knowing. Tells him what they're up to. And Anton says that his brother thinks that they're on the same side, but they actually have not been for a very long time. He tells us that he and Severin, Allie's father, have been working together. Anton has been leading Lore into the catacombs. So
like
he
has this moment.
Yeah, this is it. He's like, come on, I've been preparing for this. The whole reason that this is happening is because Anton had a vision 14 years ago. And that vision, he believes the gods gave him this vision that Bastian actually is the chosen one. And August is like, absolutely not. I want this power for myself. Anton gets pissed. I mean, he's very pious in his following of his religion, what he believes. And he's like, wait a minute. No. You're going against what our God is saying. You can't, if Apollonius says it, that is law. And so he feels like his brother must be stopped. So once August kind of goes against Anton and says, wait a minute, no, I want the power, not my son. Anton, like a click goes off in his head and he's like, gotta stop him. Anton says, quote, we needed the two of you to be close together so your powers would sharpen each other. The law of opposites in action. Apollonius gives the gift to his chosen, and that's you, Bastian. I was told so by the god himself. Told that you were the Arsinoe to whom he'd bestow his power. Told her Gabriel Rameau and a child from the catacombs must stay close to you after your consecration, and that it would pave the way for Apollonius's return. This has all been in motion for years, echoing through time. So he has been very successful up until this very point.
Yeah, also Harry Potter reference, I think number 3 in this episode, but I really got the sense with this vision and this prophecy that because all it says is a child from the catacombs. So did he pick Lore by choosing her to be the child? Like, it doesn't say specifically that it was her or that he
Right.
saw her face or anything like that. It just says child from the catacombs. So it could have been anybody, just like Voldemort chose Harry as the one, right?
Yep.
So there you go.
Yep. The other thing that we know that Anton has been trying to figure out is how to bind the dead. So essentially, when Lore raises up and resurrects one, they're all bound together and she can control all of them at once. And it works.
I have a lot of questions about why
Why?
Anton wants the army.
I did
Like,
not get that.
I understand why August would, right? He's the king. He has an enemy kingdom. I get why, as a corrupt king, you would want an undead army. Totes makes sense. But why, as a religious leader, does Anton want that control of the army from Lore? It is an unanswered question to me.
I agree. I did
going
not
into the
quite
next
make
book.
that connection. I was like, why does he wait? What is he doing?
Yeah, I feel like it's an important thing to ask ourselves as we go into books 2 and 3. So,
Okay.
The last big final scene with King August. Okay. Here's our quote that we get from Anton. Your power will reach its height on your 24th birthday, which happens to coincide with the eclipse. August plans to kill you both and take your power at the ball, killing you at the moment of totality when the moon totally covers the sun. When the powers of life and death can be wielded together, when chosen vessels are made manifest. So he's telling them that this is what August is planning on doing, right? They're no longer on the same page. Anton, as the religious leader, is unhappy that he finds out that his brother is going to go against what the god told him and wants to take August out of the picture now. He's like, nope, God told me that Bastian is the chosen one. I'm going to support that vessel. I don't want you killing my God's vessel.
But he presents it here almost as if he's like, oh, I've only just recently come to this discovery. But no, he's been plotting against August for quite a while.
A long time. And he had the vision 14 years ago that it was going to be Bastian. And it does bring up a point to me, too, that I would think as a religious zealot, that if you had a vision from God and said, hey, yo, your nephew is going to be my chosen vessel, wouldn't you have treated that vessel a tiny bit better?
I loved the discussion.
Wouldn't you have wanted to protect that vessel a little bit? Like, it really kind of bothered me that Bastian didn't get that. Like, oh yeah, you have a dickhead for a dad, but at least your uncle's nice. No. And his uncle had every reason to be nice to him, and still kind of wasn't.
Yeah. But he doesn't care because he only sees Bastian as a shell for Apollonius, and he only cares about Bastian when he is essentially possessed by Apollonius. That's all he cares about. Bastian is literally a body. So he always made a point of saying, like, your father wanted to do like physical harm to you, and I stopped that because he had to keep the body safe.
Right.
He does not care at all about Bastian. Only as what Bastian will be as the vessel to Apollonius. Yes, the megalomaniac murderer is a terrible person too.
What?
Shock.
I am shocked. This is brand new information.
So King August takes their hands and gives them new wounds so that their scars match. So Lore already has the moon, she's given the sun. Bastion already has the sun, he is given the moon, and he holds their hands together. And Lore feels Spiritum, and she knows that Bastion feels Mortem in that moment too. So it is the eclipse. They have matching scars, and they now both have a nice set of bookend matching powers, right? Anton comes in, he stabs August. August has enough of time to throw his knife at Lore right before he dies. And as she blacks out, she sees Anton coming and stomping on August's head. And it literally says, spills out brain matter. Yuck, yucky, ew. And then Lore blacks out.
Wild 30 seconds.
Insane.
Whoa.
Yep.
And then Lore wakes up again, and she is in the stone garden. And who else is there? Oh, her birth mother. Hello. Birth mother enters the chat all of a sudden. And let me tell you, I had zero connection to this woman. I gave zero fucks about her. She could have been whoever off the street. I wouldn't care. Didn't care.
She could have just been any priestess.
Right.
Any priestess. But she just so happens to be Lore's mother. And Anton tells her that he is going to kill her. That way, all of the power goes to Bastion.
Because it's an eclipse, and only during an eclipse that can happen.
Yes. And Mom is there, and she looks at her daughter, who she hasn't seen in at least 10 years at this point, and says, "Oh, you have to die."
Yep. It's meant for you. You have to do it.
The mother is now the new night priestess. She is the head of the Buried Watch, and she has struck a deal with Anton. The quote being, "The deal was that you get your avatar back after 6 villages are added to the army, and that I get to strike the killing blow. The paperwork to make the Buried Watch once again part of the church is filed, and I can rescind it at any time if the terms aren't met." So basically, the mother is there not for her daughter, but to get her daughter killed so that she can become the new avatar to Nyxara, and her priestess clan organization can get rechartered. You bitch.
Thanks, Mom.
These are the worst parents in... We have read a lot of books with bad parents. Every single parent and parental figure in this book cares only about themselves and uses the children to get where they want to be and do not care about them at all.
Lore even says, she's like, I have 3 mothers and 2 of them betrayed me.
Yeah. Like, what the heck?
So we understand why Lore's mother did this. And Lindsay, I think you and I discussed how we were both struggling with, why did Anton need Lore's mother, period? Like, what did she serve to Anton as the need why he would have to strike any deal with her? Because she just shows up. And I
feel like there's a reason. What we came up with is that she is the only reason why Anton can dream walk.
Yes.
Right? Anton is dream walking. So we find out that he is the reason all of these villages have been dying, right? Is because he's dream walking into Lore's dreams and making Lore kill all of the villages with her powerful mortem. So the only reason that the mother would even be in this is if she was the one to teach him how to do that, or else he wouldn't need her at all.
And the only reason why we say she can dream walk is she makes a point of saying that years ago, she went towards Nyxara's tomb and she saw a dream of the goddess. So presumably that means head priest lady can dream walk herself. Also, presumably, God not dead. Gods don't dream if they're dead. That's really weird. So that brings up the whole kind of changed state, are they dead, aren't they dead conversation. Yeah. But either way, I think that was the only reason we could think to why those two would it all work together was I need to learn how to dream walk and the priestess can
Yeah.
teach me.
But I don't know, even after we found out
it's
that
a flimsy like
yeah,
tie.
cuz even after we found out that that's what's actually been happening to the villages, I still don't quite understand it because if lore was there's even a quote. Let me find the quote. Oh, here it is. Mortem couldn't do something like that. Mortem couldn't kill an entire village and leave the bodies perfectly intact. No mere channeler could do such a thing. No mere channeler. So she starts to question
Her own
like
power.
what is happening in the villages in her own power. So
Right.
you're telling me that he's been dreamwalking, forcing her to use mortem. She doesn't feel it. She's not
Yeah.
exhausted by it.
Right.
Like, is it because she truly is channeling that much powerful or that much power and is powerful enough that she doesn't even realize she's killing out a whole village at the same time?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
And also why? Why does Anton
Why?
want her to do
Why
it?
does he need him? Yeah.
I always thought that Anton was making her do that because he needed her to stretch her own power, to grow her own power towards her own consecration so that when the eclipse happened and he can steal her power into Bastion. But I
Mhm.
still don't understand why he needs an undead army. I still think I'm not totally sold on the connection between the priest and Anton working together, period. It's that all bit at the end was a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
I have
There's a lot of
questions.
motivation there.
Yes.
Yeah. That I have questions about that I don't. Again, I'm not saying I have questions about them because of their plot holes. I think I have questions about them because we just don't know yet.
Yeah.
But they are definitely, that's one of those things that going into the next few books, I will absolutely be wondering and
Mhm.
wanting that question answered for sure.
Mhm.
This is why we can never just vibe with a book because we're like, I'm sorry, could you explain to me what your motivation
Yeah.
is at this juncture?
Let me interview you. What wakes you up in the morning, Anton?
Yeah. And it kind of goes even deeper than all of that, too, because he uses the word apocalypse.
He sure does.
And that is not a word I feel like we should just throw around willy-nilly, like, you know? So the quote is, "This isn't something you can escape. Haven't you figured that out by now? Every day it grows stronger, growing in you like rot as you come near to ascension." Keyword ascension. Ascension.
Ascension.
You can't flee from what you are, daughter of the dark. Death is the one thing that will always find you, and you are its heir, the seed of the apocalypse, end times walking. You are the wildfire necessary for the forest to grow, the destruction that brings rebirth. They want your power. They'll force you to be stronger and then break you down, reduce you to nothing but a womb for magic they can't make, but only if you let them. Even when you ascend, you must remember that you are wholly your own. First of all, the imagery in this quote is stunning.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Yes. Great job,
Okay,
Hannah.
for writing. Beautiful. But what the fuck does it mean?
It threw me for a loop.
There's
really
a lot
did.
in there. I feel like this is one of those quotes that we could probably spend an hour on, and listeners, we won't completely bore you with that, but I feel like I could. I feel like I could talk about this whole quote
Yeah.
for a really long time.
They want
Yep.
your power. Who's they? When you
Who's they?
ascend, you're ascending. What? What are
You're
you
a
saying?
womb, a womb
womb
for
for
magic
magic?
that they can't make. Why can't they make it?
How
And
powerful is she? Clearly, she's a god. She is going to be a god.
yes. And when
Like-
you ascend, you must remember that you are wholly your own. So even in this moment, Anton, the religious freak that he
Yep.
is telling her not to listen to them.
Yes. And it made me think it's not just that she is going to take over for Nixara. To me, I got that she is going to be someone completely brand new. She is not
Yes.
going to be Nixara reborn. She might have her power and maybe she's her heir, but she is not her. She is her own
Yep.
entity. And
I
am
have a lot
fascinated to
talk about
find
when we
out
get
what that means.
to talking about
Oh.
I have thoughts.
I have thoughts.
Click your thoughts.
Bastion comes in and saves her. And there's a lot of interesting language here about how his uncle looks at him like he is a god. So it's almost like Anton, because the eclipse has happened, he now sees him as no longer a vessel, but as Apollonius himself. And his personality has changed so much so quickly at this point in the book that I feel like he has become possessed
100%.
from this point
There
on.
was like
Kelly, do you not agree?
That Bastion does?
yes.
Yeah. You did a
No,
no?
I didn't think about it.
He changes so much. Like all of a sudden he's
Mhm.
cold.
Yeah.
He is calculating.
Yeah.
He takes the crown and calls himself the king when really he never really wanted that to begin
That's
with.
true.
So he just changes so much so quickly that
Yeah.
and so seeing Anton look at him that way almost made me think like, oh no, he has changed.
He saw it happen.
Behold,
He saw it
I
happen.
like reborn.
See, I like
Mhm.
that because I didn't think that. I just wrote it off as his father is dead. Anton
Right.
is
Yeah.
an ass. Like he has had enough and he's like, I'm in charge now.
Which I think is
Like in that
normal
moment, which
to
I think
feel.
maybe what you're supposed to
Mhm.
feel, but I didn't go past that. But I like this because there are definitely clues in the things that have happened that make me think it,
Mhm.
yeah, damn it, I like that.
Not just I like that, but damn it, I
Damn
like
it.
Damn
that.
it.
Oh, damn it.
Oh,
His
damn it.
father is dead. He's the king.
Yeah. And like you said, that is a lot to take in this moment, that your daddy was going to try to kill you and then your uncle curb stomped his head.
Yep.
Like there's a lot there. Like I understand that you would be very concerned and your personality would change, but
But
there
you've
was
never wanted this.
Yeah, and there was a significant shift to him for me that just kind of rose
Yeah.
my hackles
It was.
Yeah.
a little bit.
And
I like it.
especially at the very last chapter. I feel like it's like we get our spidey sense tingling right now of he's acting odd.
Yes.
But the last chapter, I'm like, he is not himself.
Yeah. Pointing.
Gabe also comes back into the picture and says, nope, you're not going to be sacrificing anyone on my watch. And I don't have the direct quote, but I love Anton says something to him like how he switches sides so quickly, or like his loyalties shift so quickly. Because it's true, like you just sold this chick out and now you're like, don't kill her now. Like,
she's in trouble, but don't hurt her. Okay, right,
yeah,
exactly.
like make up your mind.
Have a backbone, Gabe.
So, quote here, part of you knows, I think, what you would become if this is allowed to continue, an abomination, recurring sin. And I want to talk about this quote because in our conversation together the other day, Catherine and I had very different reads on this quote.
Gabe says this, correct?
No, Anton
yes.
says
no,
this to
Anton
Gabe.
says this to Gabe. So I read it as that Anton was warning Gabe that Lore was going to become an abomination, recurring sin. Like this was his warning of like, you can't save her because if you do, this is what's going to happen.
Which is perfectly fine explanation.
But it's wrong because
No. But the way I read it is, we've been talking this whole book about the bond between the three of them. And it was very clear of the Bastian and Lore bond, but Gabe was always there. And right before this quote that Lindsay just listed was the, oh, how quickly you switch sides. And that had me thinking back towards, if they're literally almost repeating the sins of the gods that came before them, is Gabe repeating a cycle of betrayal himself? So when I read this quote, I read it as, part of you, I think, knows what you will become if this is allowed to continue. As in, Gabe, you are repeating a cycle for whatever God Gabe essentially is assigned to, which would be one of those minor gods at this point.
Mm-hmm.
If you allow this to
god.
continue, if you don't kill her, this whole cycle now will repeat itself, and the three of you will be locked in on this whole cycle once more again. So that was my interpretation.
It's that you. Yeah, it's the you. It's the who is the you towards.
Right. Is it
specifically
you singular? Is it
yeah.
you
and
and her? Is it the three of you?
And would you clarify the you?
Yeah, it's one of those too. I don't think it matters either way, because I think what both of us take away from it is that there's a cycle, right? And that something bad is going to continue to happen. So I don't think it matters who we think the you is, but it's just one of those that it's so interesting that we can take a word like that and have take such different meanings from it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then Bastian.
Wait, you don't want to know what I thought when I read this?
Oh,
tell us.
We didn't.
Do you have a different thought?
I thought literally nothing about it and don't remember reading that quote.
That's why we didn't prompt you, bitch.
So I don't know who's right, because I don't even remember that quote. Ta-da!
Fucking Kelly here with the vibes.
I thought you were going to say something
really profound.
Genius. No.
Hey, I was not vibing with this whole book. I mean, okay, this was not a vibe through for me. I was in it.
I know.
I was highlighting. Yeah. I really was into this book. That quote specifically, I was like, oh, yeah, I didn't even notice that. Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah. No thoughts. I don't remember what I thought when I read it, because I don't even remember that quote.
Okay, Kelly.
Zero
well,
thoughts.
Do you have thoughts
Zero
on this?
Thoughts.
Bastian turns Anton into a tree, essentially.
A statue with the roses.
Like a rose. Yeah, a statue of living,
where he's alive still underneath.
Roses.
Yep. And
Wild.
I was not upset by this, because let's remember, he is a mass murdering megalomaniac.
Not sad at all.
And Gabe gets upset about it, and it pisses
Why'd you do that?
me off.
Why'd you hurt my
Why don't you just take his title away? Then he has no more power. You don't need to kill him. You're just like your father.
Oh, he's trying to control our sort of girlfriend by making her raise a bounded undead army of zombies, but he deserves to be fine.
No, this is one of the moments where I loved Bastian, because Bastian was like, frig that. Like, you deserve this.
Let me use this newfound spirit and power and turn him into a living, bloody rosebush.
But also, let's think about the fact that Bastian would have literally just gotten his spirit and power, and all of a sudden can magically wield it to make a statue.
See, that's why I'm kind of wondering.
A god like that would know how to make a tree person statue.
Immediately.
Flowers. Immediately.
Unless if it's not Apollonius, then Bastian has been lying or has not been showing you the truth, that he actually has already wielded his spirit and power and has just been keeping it a secret. But that's not as exciting of a reason why he could do it.
That would also make me mad, because then I would question our library. And our library scene. I like our library.
Yeah, but we also know that Malcolm isn't really.
Oh yeah, he could have gotten it wrong.
To be.
I guess that's the whole point.
Stand-up guy.
This whole book has told us mortals are fallible.
That absolutely. Okay, I like it. Hello, statue. I love it.
And Bastian, obviously, with all this apocalypse talk, is concerned that Lore is going to go mad. And so they decide that Gabe is going to help her guard her mind, because one of the scenes in the very beginning is that she has dealt with all this mortem, and Gabe, who has mortem also, don't forget, is helping her to guard her mind and not let mortem overcome her.
Can I ask you guys a question now?
You may.
I have a thought now with him being, let's go along the line of him being possessed by Apollyon. Do you
Okay.
read this differently now with Bastian being concerned Lore will go mad and wants Gabe in charge of controlling her, essentially? Like, because this whole eclipse has passed now. So the ability for Apollyon, again, assuming Polyus is possessing Bastian, to assume Lore's power by, her dying, him getting the power,
Is done.
that's done. It is
Mhm.
past. So he's failed to get the power. So he probably wants her power controlled because he doesn't want another Nyxara situation where she was strong enough to challenge him. So now I'm wondering if that sentence reads a little bit differently, like he wants to control her. I asked you guys if you had thoughts, and then you just said nothing, and we've been talking for like 4 hours.
I'm thinking my thoughts. I think it's possible. I'm still not sold that Apollyon and Nyxara end game is that they hate each other and that they are going to fight for all of eternity.
I
if
don't
that
think
makes
that's
sense.
endgame either.
Yeah. So that's why I'm not sure, because I don't know if I know fully what their relationship is going to look like when
Is
they
that
return.
purposeful that we don't know that? I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
think
think
so.
we know the backstory. Like, we know that there were
They
husband
fought,
and wife and fought,
Yeah.
and he lived, but we really do not know their backstory at all.
Right.
Well, and there is this, it's brought up several times that they're going to be something else too. So, yes, we have hints at a possession and hints of an ascension, but even like there's a quote here, it's all theoretical. Mortem and spiritum are both powers of gods, but they weren't made for human use. That's why the gods had to ascend from human forms, become something different. So it's kind of that same thought. It's like they're not necessarily going to become forms of these gods. They're all potentially going to be something new and something different.
Yes.
I also get the sense, though, that I still believe Bastian is possessed by Apollyon. Just personally, that's what I believe.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm leaning there. I think you've convinced me. I like that theory.
What I am unsure of is any of the other gods. Because remember, there were a total of 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know the connection between Bastian and Lore and their gods. I don't know if Nyxara is literally going to possess Lore. I feel like they talk about the husband and wife thing between Apollyon and Nyxara, but I feel like there's so much backstory we don't know. And I feel like that backstory is why Gabe has a connection with them as well. I feel like there had to have been some other god that.
That's why they fought.
Yes, and that's why they fought.
Yeah.
But I wonder if other gods are going to possess them. And Lindsay, you and I talked about having like this whole come to Jesus moment for Gabe, if how he's going to stand on his 2 feet. He's very much
how he fits in.
He's very much gung-ho for the religion. But then think about what Bastian now, if he's possessed by Apollyon, right? He is the religion. Is that going to maybe be the catalyst for Gabe to start challenging the religion, to see the fallacy, the corruption, the rot that exists within his own religion, and maybe change himself? Is he himself going to get possessed by a god, and then he's going to be like, this theology is very, very messed up? And also recognizing, we've said it so many times, these are mortals that ascended and brought their mortal problems. They're fallible gods.
Yeah. Well, okay, let me read you some of these quotes here because I think they're all super relevant. They might shed some light. So, the quote from Lore's mother to her, it's the only thing we can do. The world won't survive you. It isn't yours. It's hers, capital H. And the longer you live, the more powerful you grow, the more like her, capital H, you will become. So, that sentence, it's like the more like her you will become. It's not your power, it's hers. So even in that one quote, there's like things that I could use to support that they all are reincarnations of the gods, or they're going to be something else.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you could
Both.
read that either
As a
way.
I agree.
But also the fact that they're inherently saying, like, the apocalypse will happen because you have her power. But just think about the concept. You have a god of death and her power just runs amok, completely uncontained. She's a
Right.
god. Of course she can contain her own power. She's not just spewing death. I mean, yes, she is right now, but you also killed her. It's not her
But
fault.
that's because she's in that
Exactly.
dead state. It's not
But
because she's choosing
her
to.
living and being a god, I just don't imagine her literally being this unwielding abomination of power spewing death, because they said so many times death is not inherently evil. So why is Nyxara's power completely uncontrollable? I'm just not buying that. That to me just sounds like you want me to go to the one Apollonius belief, and so you're vilifying her to like strengthen your own argument.
Okay, so keep going. Next quote. That again kind of shows that they're in this cycle. Not unless you can count stopping an apocalypse as pointless. Her power will keep growing, Bastion, especially now that she can channel spiritum too. It will infect her mind. Nyxara will infect her mind. Give the girl death now, or watch her beg for it later when the world falls down around her as Apollonius makes it his. The cycle has begun, and you are all caught in its weave, forced into a caring that has ruined you before and will ruin you again.
You've existed before.
That is cyclic if I've ever heard it.
So then I have a big
And ruined you before.
Right.
And it goes, it's the same thing.
Yes.
There's another one with, it's the quote from Gabe, from Anton to Gabe too. He says the same thing that you and I were debating about, where it's the recurring sin, the abomination.
Yes.
So they are stuck.
You know what's going to happen
in this cycle.
They are.
And
they need to try to get out of it.
I have this question, and I've already talked to this with Lindsay, but Kelly, I would be curious to hear your thoughts. So Anton has been orchestrating this whole thing for the past 14 years, right? Because of his vision. He has made every single step happen and play out according to his vision. He was dream walking to grow her power. He brought her here. They've carved these symbols in their hands. They're having all of this happen on this day of the eclipse so that because Anton has been told by Apollonius in this vision that Lore's power must be transferred to Bastian because there should only be one god, and that god is Apollonius. So my big question is, if they had just left well enough alone, if they hadn't set all of this into motion, would the apocalypse be happening? Because now it seems to be they're saying, well, we've set all of this in motion.
Yep.
So now if you don't die, Lore, the apocalypse will happen. But I'm kind of like, well, if you had just left her alone.
You
started it.
And the whole point is that she has to die so that he can get the power anyway. So either way, they were going to say she was going to die.
But if none of this had happened, she was still just a poison runner on the street. No carving hands, no anything.
You brought her.
You brought her. You started it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't fully trust that Anton understood his vision.
That's fair.
I think that because they are so zealous in their beliefs, that I think that he interpreted things the way that he could, believing that Apollonius was it. This kind of ties into my theory that I don't know if Apollonius is actually evil, because this whole time the Arsinoe kings have made everyone believe, even though they knew, Anton and August knew, that it was only one person, and it was Bastion that was the chosen one, that they were all the chosen. They were the chosen line. Why would Apollonius choose Bastion of all of the kings? He's the one that doesn't give a fuck about religion, doesn't want to be the king, is friends with Lore, cares about Lore. Like, he is the antithesis of all of these other Arsenault kings. If Apuleius specifically chose Bastion, why? My thought is that Apuleius actually believes different things than all of these people have said. Oh, Apuleius is this, Apuleius is that, let's worship him. And Apuleius is like, this is not the God that I am. This is actually not how I think the state of the world should be. And so it's Bastion, because he doesn't give a shit about this religion. He doesn't agree with all the things that you're saying, and he doesn't even want the power to be the king. So
I like
that's
this.
why.
I like that.
Thank you.
I like this.
Thank you.
I
So-
really like this. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, and like, think about it at the end.
Yeah.
What does Bastion do? He puts a throne next to him so that Lore can be seated as an equal to him. They're dressed the same. They match. She is there alongside of him. Can you imagine August having put anyone equal to him? I can't.
So how, along with that line of thinking, though, do you explain his coldness in the last few chapters and the epilogue? And I'm not asking you that to argue with you, because I really like where you're going, but I'm just trying to piece it together in my head, because my previous thought that he is possessed by Apuleius and Apuleius is bad makes sense. It answers that coldness for me. So if you look at it from the opposite perspective, how do you explain that?
I think a couple things I might think is, one, maybe it's coming off as cold because it's just so different from what Bastion is, but it's this 1,000-year-old's god who just has a different personality and has been waiting to come back for all this time.
you
And he's like,
still
let's
think
just get this shit done.
Misunderstood.
But you
Right.
wait, you still think he is possessed. You're not arguing
Yes.
that. You're just
I'm not arguing
that he is not
Correct.
evil. So he's just
Correct.
okay. So
Or fully evil.
So we all
Yes.
agree on the possession. It's the evil
I
versus
think so.
not evil.
Yes. I think that he just maybe has a different personality and has things to do and points to make.
Okay,
but you had a question?
But because, okay.
Yeah.
Why then did Nyxara try to kill Apuleius?
Thank you.
Because you don't try to kill someone unless you're you are, because she started it, right?
Who is saying that she tried to kill him? Where is that history coming from? What does everybody think?
Good point.
Who is writing the history?
Was that history changed?
Who are the people who are pushing all of the holy laws? Who are the people who are the librarians? It is these people who are obsessed with Apuleius.
But then how did the gods die? And why?
Did they die?
Well, then
I don't know.
Why are they in their state? Why are they
don't
not
know.
with him in the realm of whatever it's called?
I feel like that's probably easily answered. Like I think
later,
I think that would be kind of like, it would make it the whole point of like, actually none of this is what you thought it
is the full
was going
picture.
to be, is the full picture.
I'm not saying I don't think that they went away, they fought. Like, I think that probably could happen, but the way that I'm seeing this whole religion, the way that Hannah has portrayed this whole religion, is there are a small group of men who are rulers, who are obsessed with power, who will do everything to keep this power, and who worship this god based on how they see this god to be. And they immediately like, no, Nyxara is evil. She's death. She's this. We're going to put these bars over the floor. Like, all these things are going to happen to suppress this god. But we see over and over again in the book that they are fallible. They don't know everything. They do things for their own gain. They don't care about their own kids. Like, all of these things make me think that, like, why are we just trusting that this is the case when even the head priest is clearly not a good guy, and the librarian's not a good guy.
And at the end of the day, Anton is an Arsenault.
Yes.
Like, let's not forget that. Like,
he is the line that is being worshipped.
Yes, like, he is technically next in line. Yes, he likely abdicated, right? and
Right.
took up the priesthood. But if Bastian didn't exist and something happened to August, Anton would be the next king.
Right.
So you have to look at all of his actions with this, like with the lens of, he's also an Arsinoe. He is also one of the chosen line, power obsessed families.
Yes.
Can we also?
Is it a little bit unhinged? Yeah, but that's where, because I'm like, Bastian, to me, Kath, he's your favorite character. I think Bastian is
I'm
great.
actually very afraid of what's going to happen to him under my scenario. I don't actually like it because I like Bastian, and that's where I think
great.
Anything that happens to Bastian in the future, I feel is like whatever evil that I'm postulating he will be, because obviously I'm postulating that Apollonius is evil. In my brain, it is Bastian is basically like the soul of him is like overpowered by the soul of the god possessing him. And so the evilness is really Apollonius. It's not Bastian. But the last thing I will say, Kelly, can we at least agree that it's not very nice to possess people? So Apollonius can't be fully nice.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying he's a perfect god. I'm just saying that I don't know if I fully agree that the stories that they've been told are
do not disagree with you. I like that.
I like that a lot.
The other thing I struggle with is the why then. The
whole thing?
The understanding motives behind why a god would possess somebody at this juncture. The motive I've explained to myself to rationalize it is he wants another chance at Nyxara's power, and he's going to do everything he can to get that power. So I struggle with what is the motive with possessing Bastian if he has nice reasons for it.
Because his wife is buried underneath a citadel with a whole kingdom believing that she is the ultimate evil, and maybe he is trying to help her come back and help bring them back.
1,000 years.
Hey,
love is love, bro.
No, right? Where you been for 1,000 years then?
Well, because I think that part of what might be correct is that it takes very specific people born with very specific, like that all these things had to happen.
That
and
Anton's vision in a way is correct.
Right. I don't think that he lied.
Yes.
I don't think he lied about having a vision. I don't think that he fully made up the vision. My gut says that he didn't quite understand it, and that maybe he saw some things the way that he wanted to see them because of the whole thing is based on people believing what they're told because they want to believe that that is the right thing. And so why would Anton not also, he is mortal. Like, why would he not fall to that too?
Yeah. Wow. That's a
different
what good conversation, you guys.
I'm really proud of myself for that because
that's good.
This is why I love finishing a book the day before we record because it is so fresh in my head.
Yeah, right.
Like it is so fresh in my head.
Yeah, I actually reread the last few chapters yesterday just because I wanted to make sure I had all of the details and everything.
It makes sense. Like for deep dives, I reread the chapters, but usually I don't do that for a one-off, but it was helpful that I literally read this book for the last week, finished it yesterday, and we're recording today.
So would you like to talk about a throuple?
Yes.
I sure would.
What an excellent segue.
Like that one? I have this theory.
All right.
Not why choose. It's not why, in my head, it's not why choose. It is a true throuple. And I literally, while I was annotating this, I put every time I had evidence to support myself, I just tagged it as a throuple so that I would remember to go back to it.
Thruple.
And that's why when Lindsay was like, Catherine, do you have any notes about your little throuple theory? I'm like, oh, yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
It's actually the yellow tab. Let me find it here real quick.
It was pink, actually. You're welcome, Lindsay.
I like that.
Me.
Because you like pink. That's the only reason.
But I don't like thruples.
I know. That was the only reason. It only
good
went
throuple.
so far. So
in a fantasy book.
There are several discussions at the very beginning that obviously they have this bond, the three of them. We don't know why they have this bond, but they clearly have this bond that it's as if they know each other, their souls calling to each other. Okay. So it's very easy to establish that there's some triangle connection to them. The author then weaves in these little tidbits about Bastian's sexual preferences. At the very beginning, he's making out with a woman. So, okay, check. He likes women. But then there are several references to him making out with male guards, a guy named Lucian. He would definitely. What was that quote, Lindsay, when we saw Lucian?
The quality,
the
how big his bed is, and the quality of the beef.
The beef, right.
I was like,
all right, beef quality inspector. I like it.
So we know that Bastian himself is bisexual. And I will admit that in this story, there's not been anything overt from Gabe towards Bastian, but we can at least establish that Bastian can swing that way. There was also a little flirty moment at the beginning where the author uses the word flirtatiously. He like takes the feather and flirtatiously puts it under Gabe's chin or nose or something like that. And this book is not a spicy book. Literally, there were 2 kissing scenes. I do not anticipate the
both
rest.
with Gabe.
Both with Gabe.
No, there was
Lauren
one with
Gabe.
Bastian. There was one with Bastian. It was they were trying to hide from a guard passing, and it was like a kiss as in lips on, but not like kiss.
Yeah.
Kiss.
But I mean, like, I just wanted to point out that
scene.
Lore, we haven't really talked about it. Lore did make out with Gabe.
She did.
Right.
Yeah. She didn't with Bastian, but she did with Gabe.
Yes, she just touched her lips to his for Bastian. But I don't see the rest of this series getting spicy. I mean, maybe a little bit more spicy. So when I say a throuple, I am still operating under this assumption that basically they are new gods that will ascend themselves, right? And almost defeat the old. Out with the old, in with the new. And so this kind of throuple, I don't see this as like a spicy throuple. I don't see her going in that take. I see it more as like a godly throuple. Whatever is binding them will continue to bind them. Will they get maybe a bit more spicy?
Of sorts.
Yes, but I see it as a like fully polyamorous relationship. And I just get these vibes because, well, once I get something in my head, I look for every evidence to justify my beliefs, even if they're completely wrong.
So I agree with you. And polyamory could be why choose. I'm just saying. Because I see them as, I agree with you. Bastian is bisexual for sure. I did not see much out of Gabe.
You're right, because there's nothing there.
They're a little bit towards Lore finally, when he finally breaks. And I think that that's on purpose because obviously he's a monk and like that's part of his whole thing. And I see very clear feelings and attraction from Lore towards both of them. And so I, for a couple times, and like I text you guys, I was like, guys, I can't tell which is the one. I kind of see this as one, she's attracted to them both, and the three of them are like a trio that needs to like live together, work together. Like I think their paths are going to be together. I mean, clearly he's the king. Now Gabe is the exalted priest and she's the queen of sorts, right? Like they're
queenish,
queen adjacent. Like they're tied. They are, the three of them are interconnected. And so I could see a world where they're in this relationship that doesn't always have to be one-to-one sexual or one-to-one like a deep love connection, but that where they all care about each other, and the way that they care about each other is different.
Yes.
But I see Lore is caring about both of them and being attracted to both of them, and it could be possible. But the way that Gabe ended this book, I feel like it would take a lot to be like, I thought that in the beginning of the book and the middle, but at the end, I feel like it would take a lot for Lore to all of a sudden be like, oh, Gabe, because she was pissed at him and he, betrayed them and turned them into Anton. And so I think it'll be very interesting, but I could totally see it as this. They are a trio, and I
Yeah.
can't wait to see how it
all
turns
for
out.
it.
See, I never read it as a true thruple situation at all. I think the entire time for me, their attraction towards one another was just a metaphor for this power situation that they're going to find themselves in.
Interesting.
Like,
Okay.
I think that she felt a pull towards both of them, obviously. Like, I'm definitely not going to deny that.
Yeah.
But I think that even when she like kissed Gabe when she did, I found it to be kind of odd.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it was like her not quite understanding that the attraction that she had to him wasn't a true attraction.
Mm-hmm.
It was one based on power and the power situation that
Like
they're finding themselves in.
I
like
like that.
calling to
Yeah. Yeah. So, because even after it happened, she was kind of like,
well,
Yeah. Right.
well, that happened,
Right.
you know?
Exactly.
yeah.
And so I think in
Exactly.
her mind, she almost like mixed it up where, so I don't, because also the book really doesn't have any spice. I
Mhm.
don't foresee it having spice. And so therefore, I don't foresee that all of a sudden coming into play and being like, this isn't a spicy book, but I'm going to throw a thruple at you.
That's why I have to define it as
You
like
know?
a godly one, which I think kind of speaks
Yeah.
to what you are saying, Lindsay, with this whole,
Yeah.
if they take up this like mantle of being gods, it's like that, not like spice, not like explicit.
Yeah.
Relationship,
It's
yeah.
a relationship
Yeah.
bound by this, like them all becoming gods and this connection they have.
Yeah. I also want to point out that, again, I have not read books 2 and 3, but I have read
Nope.
the blurb for book 2. Gabe is not mentioned
Yes,
once
you said
in the
that.
blurb.
That's wild.
Which is strange because Priest Exalted is a pretty
Right.
important character.
So, but it makes me wonder
Where's Gabe?
if that was going to happen and if that would be such an important part of the storyline, that it's odd to me that he's not mentioned at all.
Yeah.
Also,
it's true.
I don't know.
I kind of want him to be there because at the end of the book, I cannot stand Gabe. Like, I'm completely over him and his betrayal.
And I don't think Bastion could either.
Yeah. And I his betrayal was just it for me, but I still want him to do a complete 180. Like, I just want to see that for his character. So I hope he's in the rest of the series and has a massive change, because that would be the most interesting thing to read about for his character. Because as of right now, if he's going to be a zealot for the entire 3 books and not allow yourself to challenge when you see something immoral happen, you don't have to just follow it because you need to follow what your religion is saying is acceptable. Think on your own 2 feet, and that's what I want Gabe to do. Yeah. So I really hope he's not just this one note character for the rest of the series.
I agree.
It keeps coming back for me too of when like I really got the impression at the end that Bastion just really did not like Gabe, and the quote where he's like, are you so accustomed to being used that you don't realize what's happening as long as it's done to you kindly? And that quote was pretty in the beginning of the book.
That was towards lore. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of established that that Bastion really didn't have any respect for Gabe and could kind of see what was going on.
Right.
So that quote always kind of stuck with me of, if they are going to be in this triangle, Bastion doesn't like Gabe and doesn't trust him. And really, at the end of the day, the only reason he's keeping him around is to help shield Lore's mind. It's about protecting Lore.
Right. His care is for her.
Or is it?
Dun,
Yes.
dun, dun. Yeah, I
Oh,
believe it is.
yes. So if Gabe is only being kept around for Bastion to use him to protect Lore, let's look at Bastion and Gabe, right? Because Gabe is the religious one in this sense, and Bastion was the political one, right? Towards the end of the book, it's almost like the tables have turned on their roles, and that Bastion has become a resurrection of a god or possessed by a god. Like he has become the religious one, and Gabe is going to take on the more political role in keeping Lore sane, keeping them. So it's almost like the two of them have switched roles by the end of the book. And so I'm curious going into the next one how that is going to come into play and if their roles are going to continue to be reversed in that way.
I hope it does continue. Is it bad that I like the idea of Gabe losing his religion because I want to see his character go through something so horrible and life changing? Because I think that would be so fascinating to witness and
Yeah.
how he can reconcile that with his entire life. I think that would just be a very fascinating thing to read about from a character perspective. So I almost want it to happen that way, Lindsay, as you said, to reverse it and to be the political and non-religious, because he is so religious at this moment.
Yeah. I think it's the only way I see Gabe getting a redemption arc is by realizing that he has been a zealot and that there is more truth other than what he has convinced himself of. So that's the only way he's going to get his redemption arc.
And we have seen that he is capable of it because, as you pointed out, in the library, he says that whole thing about, well, just because we see Apollonius as good doesn't mean that she is evil. Like, I don't necessarily know that I believe that. And like, well, that's blasphemy, like technically, like, and so we know that he is capable of having his own thoughts, but he is clearly very uncomfortable with that, I think, and doesn't know how not to follow the law of his religion. So it'll be interesting without Anton there to guide him or to be the person that he follows all the time now. Now he is right. He has now stepped in to be Anton. So that'll be very interesting. Oh, guys, you know what?
Sorry.
4.5. I'm upping my rating. I like this. I mean,
we
4 is really strong.
Didn't we tell you? Just having this conversation made us both realize
even more.
Yes. Because it's not necessarily the characters, but the whole plot together, the world, this whole religious element and how it's built on mortals who are fallible and how that's going to play itself out with active gods in the mix. It's just so fascinating.
Yeah. And you're right, Kat. There's not like a single, this book did not give me like, oh, my new favorite FMC, my new favorite MMC, like top book, it didn't give me that, but the combination and the way that they interact was just really good.
Yeah.
And so
the world building is spectacular.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. I loved it. I loved it. 4.5. Okay.
Right. So our epilogue, Lore is sitting in a throne-like chair. She and Bastion are working side by side as equals. Her adoptive
be there.
Right.
No.
Her adoptive mothers are there working with Bastion. It actually sounds like they are doing a lot of good together for the kingdom. And he brings in Gabe and announces him as the new priest exalted. And that's how it ends.
And pointing out too here, so Bastion has essentially taken away, he has decriminalized the poison. He has allowed it to be used for people who are sick and people who maybe need a little bit more life to make sure that their family is okay before they do pass on. And so he is doing really positive things as the king already, which is another reason why I believe that if your theory holds, which I think it's a strong theory, that he is, Apollonius is part of him or possessing him or whatever, Apollonius can't be all bad.
Nobody's
In
all
my
bad. I would agree
opinion,
with you there.
right? Like he can't
Levels.
be as this thing that we maybe have been seeing. So
Yeah.
interesting.
And Bastian does not kill Gabe at the end, who committed treason.
True. He could have.
He could have.
He absolutely could have.
Would you like a new job? Would you like the highest job?
The highest job in the church?
But again, I don't think it has to do with either one of them. I think that's about lore. That's about, I have to keep Gabe around to protect Lore's mind.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Which all the more reason of why. Why, like, to protect her mind, it almost seems to me to protect her from what she could become, which could challenge him, because I still cannot buy into an unchecked God's power. In their world, gods can control their own power. So that's where I struggle with, like, Nyxara just having power that's basically like leaking radiation. Yes, because she's dead, but when she's active and alive and in control of her power, she's not just leaking her power and mortem all over the world. Like, I just can't buy into that. So it seems like it has to be done as a way to control Lore.
Yeah. Or just, if he doesn't want her to go mad with the power, it could just be that he wants her to be protected and in herself. Not that he necessarily doesn't want her to overtake him, but that he wants her to be safe.
That's true.
Right.
Because she
and
channels
I guess that's
and
the
people
question.
don't like it, you know, and they
right. Exactly.
After
that
her.
Is what is the extent of his motivation?
So I guess that's our question for the rest of the series is, at this point, who is Bastian? What is Bastian? What are his intentions? Is his intention to protect Lore? Is his intention to use her power? I think that those are all valid questions as we read the rest of the series.
Did the other gods really die? Is she like dead or changed? Like, I want to know that. I want the gods' backstory. I need.
What's Gabe's role in the gods and this whole throuple situation? Okay.
Yeah. When are we going to the Burnt Isles?
The other thing, and this will strengthen actually your argument, Kelly, of why he could be doing what he's doing for Lore. It could be the fact that they said mortals could not contain God's power. And as of right now, she's still a mortal. So it could be about protecting her
as a mortal.
Again, that would strengthen the argument then that, well, Bastian is also immortal and he has a God's power, so he has to be protected himself. Really.
Yeah.
But that could be why.
So let's end this episode by going on a fun side quest with Catherine. Because in her infinite amount of research, and she can't leave Google alone while she's reading a book.
Nope. I need a map. I need pictures.
She made her way to Charis Loki, you tell me, website, who designed the map for the book.
No way you did not.
And she found some interesting things.
My map was in black and white, and I could not see it clearly. So I was like, let me go on Google and see if there's a colored out map that maybe is just not present in my versions. And lo and behold, there was a gorgeous one. Not only this map, but the artist that drew the map also had a second version where they literally put notes all the way around it to explain all of the features for the map. And so I sent this to Lindsay and I was like,
there's some interesting stuff.
There's so much interesting stuff. And
Kelly, please put it on the screen so everyone can see it. Yeah.
Send it to me. That's insane.
And I sent this to Lindsay and I was like, hey, I thought you might like this while you're annotating for the episode. And she's like, that's an interesting map you got there. Did this perhaps...
Because I don't have that.
I don't have that. Did this by any chance come from the creator of the map for the book, and it did.
Because at first I thought
That's
like
insane.
a creator had taken the map and like added their
Yes,
notes.
like notes to the side.
But upon further research, we realized that it is actually the creator of the map. And this was like their original sketch that they sent to Hannah Whitten when she was writing the book and like doing, or not writing the book, but like with her notes on it. So there's some interesting stuff that we would like to point out on this sketch. Mine that blows my mind is where it has the picture of the bleeding god. It has in text, and if you look at your map, you're like, oh wait, no, that's right. It says the void where a heart would be. Why doesn't Apollonius have a heart?
Because
where is
cut it out
where is his heart? And if let's think about what that does to Bastian.
Whoa.
Also on the map, you see these figures at the very, very bottom.
Are you sending this to me right now? Thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay.
And what it says is the Prescamore in black, Bastian in front, wielding spiritum, golden strands. But on the other side, you see those women, the buried watch in black, Lore in front, wielding mortem, white strands. So why is Lore leading the buried watch?
And why is Bastian leading the Prescamort? Like, again, it goes back to what we were talking about a minute ago, where like Bastian has now taken up the religious side. And look at Kelly's face right now. She is blown
this is
away.
the map. I have this map, but I don't see the writing.
No,
that
second
you're seeing.
picture.
Second picture.
Oh, I haven't gotten it yet. Okay.
The second picture has literally the map creator's notes on it. So
Can you send me that one again?
We're not making it's coming through. I can see it loading.
Okay. Oh, I know you're not making it up. I'm just like, wait a minute.
It's so
what?
cool to read her actual intent with this. And everything was on purpose. And it was things that you could not see from like the black and white map. And I was so happy that these notes were out there. It was so fascinating.
Wild. Oh, here it is. Okay. Oh. Prescamore in black, Bastian in the front, wielding his spiritum.
So the imagery of Bastian leading the Prescamore and Lore leading the buried watch is I love that that's what was chosen for the map. It's like so telling of the future and their roles. But the bleeding god where the heart would be, like that one.
Where's his heart?
Right. The sun and the moon icons placed together as described in the story. I'm imagining this archway as the entrance to the catacombs. So why is it both together?
Which was hinted because that was hinted at when they go into the catacombs, that there was like inscriptions that they didn't quite understand, and it looked like they had been like worn away from years.
Yeah. Blood turning to gems. Oh my God.
So, yeah. How about that?
How do you like that, Mike?
This is wild.
The void where the heart would be is woof. That is emotionally devastating.
And bramble standing in for poisonous plants with the night sky and 2 stars.
Yeah. Oh, and the night sky and 2 stars too. Why is that symbolic?
That is so good. That's
why
so
her
good.
doing that?
Why she doing
that?
What you doing? Girl, stand up.
I also spent an obscene amount of time with the little words at the top trying to translate them, and because the font is so hard to read as to what the letters were, and so I went into like Google Translate to like actually translate what they were, because I'm that person.
I mean,
speaking of not being able to leave well enough alone.
Yeah, truly.
I have to go to Google Translate because I needed to know what those words at the beginning of the map meant. And I will tell you what they meant. At the top, the inscription reads, life and day, death and night. You're welcome.
There you go.
Well, it also says that in the...
I know, Lindsay. And that's why I'm like, Catherine, just read the damn book.
This is also why Lindsay and I ran to your house that day, faithful day back in February, and I went, knock, knock, knock. You want to be on a podcast with us?
We feel like you could really contribute to this idea that we have.
That we're obsessed with, and you have to say yes.
Would you
we're
like
doing
to
it.
go more insane with your
Yeah, basically.
obsessive note taking?
Exactly.
Although I'm
We're
pretty
gonna do
sure
it no
it was
matter what. So
literally this morning that she tried to tell us that we ruined her lives by asking her to join
I
the
did
podcast.
She did.
not.
You sure did.
You sure did.
I just said I can't read any books anymore. I have too many books to read.
All right. Well, that is a wrap on our episode for The Foxglove King by Hannah Whitten. That was so much fun. Literally, our conversation raised my rating. So thank you both for that, because that was amazing.
It's a great book.
It really is a great book.
Such
And I
a good
am
book.
so excited to meet her and LJ Andrews and Kaylee Smith at Romantasy BookCon in October. So that has made this even more exciting that we've now covered four of the authors that we're going to meet. Because we also have Sable Sorensen.
Sable, yep.
Yay. And thank you all listeners for joining us for book club this week. Next time, we will be starting our coverage of Child of Chevet by J.R. Cathers. It is an indie debut book. It comes out on October 16th. We are absolutely in love with this story, with the writing. We deeply in our souls believe that this book is going to be the next big book in fantasy romance. So everybody check that out. We're going to start that coverage next time on the podcast. And our first episode will be our world building episode. And we will have the author, Jess, on that with us. So she'll help us introduce everyone to the characters and to the amazing world that she has built. So be sure to join us for that incredible next Fantasy Friday. Happy reading. Bye.
Bye.